LoveLore Library. Chapter 386. With the passage of time, many of the people in his memory have now become fragmented and unrecognizable. Yang Ming looked at the table of hypocritical former classmates, and felt an unprecedented sense of strangeness. Even stranger than strangers. The once innocent people are no longer innocent, and the once pure people are no longer pure. In Yang Ming's impression, she was a very quiet and ordinary timid girl who wore small glasses. Now, she had become extremely flirtatious. She was like a courtesan who wandered between various men, throwing flirtatious glances at them and making them infatuated. A very upright boy in his impression is now flattering a few young masters with powerful and rich families that he once despised the most. There is no other reason, just to have a good job after graduation. Those who were once looked down upon like Yang Ming, in an instant, also stood up, holding their heads high and accepting the flattery of everyone and the teasing of coquettish women. However, those people are different from Yang Ming, they have prominent family backgrounds. In junior high school, everyone competed in learning. Now, many people realize the importance of identity, and learning has become dispensable. No matter how good you learn, you are not as good as others who have connections. People who are the last to enter a big company and become a manager. However, many have no connections. Even if you learn well, can you find a job after leaving school is still a matter. However, no one tried to get close to Yang Ming. In their opinion, Yang Ming is just a bad student with no background. Talking to him is simply a waste of time. However, this is what Yang Ming wants. He feels that talking to these people is really disgusting. The one who gave Yang Ming the biggest impact is Sun Haoming. The boy who was once very sunny has now become decadent and dropped out of school. Thinking of this, Yang Ming can't help but feel a little sad, and sighed with great vicissitudes of life. Yes, isn't it the same for me? 3 years' time was enough to change anyone. 3 years ago, Yang Ming did not expect that 3 years later, he would be like this. Rich, powerful, with unique skills. This is what Yang Ming did not dare to think about before. He thought that he would muddle through high school like Su Ping, opening a billiards room or an internet cafe with Li Dagong. A beauty like Zhou Jiejia has also become the focus of everyone. However, she is not comparable to those coquettish women. Even Sui Guangqi has some taste of pleasing her. This can't help but make Yang Ming a little curious about Zhou Jiejia's identity. Before being framed by Wang Jitao, Yang Ming has never paid much attention to other people's family and background. It wasn't until that incident that Yang Ming began to become vigilant. Originally, Zhou Jiejia wanted to get closer to Yang Ming, but there were too many flies around her. Although it made her very unhappy, after all, they were all classmates. Zhou Jiejia couldn't drive them away. During the meal, Yang Ming just drank 2 glasses of wine with everyone. After that, no one toasted him, but he was too lazy to toast others. However, although Sun Haoming was decadent, he was still the focus of everyone, but compared to Sui Guangqi, he was much dimmer. Because most girls understood that in contrast, Sui Guangqi's family was more fascinating. What's more, the current Sun Haoming was no longer the original Sun Haoming. Soon, everyone's eyes ignored him. Sun Haoming didn't feel anything. He originally came to find Yang Ming. The others had nothing to do with him. Halfway through the banquet, someone turned on the KTV song ordering system in the restaurant and was ready to start singing. Who is singing? Come and order it yourself. The person who turned on the KTV shouted. Of course, although everyone was classmates, after all, they hadn't seen each other for a few years. Singing during a meal was still somewhat embarrassing. This required the coordination of the class committee. Seeing that no one took the lead to order a song, Sui Guangqi stood up. I will sing first, and the other class committee members will follow. Zhou Jiejia, the second one is you. Sui Guangqi finished speaking unquestionably and walked to the big screen. It was undeniable that Sui Guangqi's communication skills were strong. In a few words, the atmosphere was stirred up. In particular, it was very wise to put Zhou Jie out. Because Sui Guangqi also saw that Zhou Jie had more fans than him, at least he and Zhou Jie took the lead, and the boys and girls would follow to order songs. Zhou Jie was helpless. She had to stand up and order songs. The others, as Sui Guangqi expected, followed to order songs. I will sing a song for everyone, Zhang Zhenfu's young friends come and meet. Sui Guangqi said very generously and began to sing. This was an old song, but it wasn't inappropriate. On the contrary, it was very appropriate on such an occasion as a class reunion. In particular, Sui Guangqi changed the new generation of the 80s in the lyrics to new generation of the 90s, which made everyone present unconsciously have a feeling of excitement. Even Yang Ming was infected by his melodious singing. This Sui Guangqi was indeed not simple. Zhou Jie sang a very popular song, Childhood Love. It was sung by the big star, Xu Ye. The lyrics of this song were very sad, but because the person who wrote the lyrics was Xu Ye herself, the media paid a lot of attention to it. Moreover, this song was really good. Many people even speculated that the lyrics were true. Otherwise, it was impossible to reveal such true feelings. Yeah, it's Xu Ye's song. Most people were fans of Xu Ye. Even if they weren't, they were familiar with this song. They all turned their heads to watch Zhou Jie sing. And those boys were even more so. Most of them had some covetous thoughts about Zhou Jie. This song was Zhou Jie's favorite song. Every time she listened to this song, Zhou Jie would be very emotional. She envied the pure love of the male and female protagonists in the song. She couldn't help but subconsciously regard the male and female protagonists as her and Yang Ming. Therefore, when this song was sung by Zhou Jie, it had a special charm. It was different from the original song. In the original song, although Xu Ye was sad, there was a bit of sweetness as if she was reminiscing about the past. But Zhou Jie's song was full of sadness and expectation. It was a yearning for the song. Zhou Jie sang very well. She was not inferior to the original singer, Xu Ye. Even Yang Ming had to look at her with admiration. Yang Ming was familiar with this song. Since the last time he downloaded it, Yang Ming often listened to it. When Zhou Jie finished singing the song, it immediately attracted warm applause from the audience. Everyone applauded and kept asking Zhou Jie to sing another song. Right, isn't there a girl named Suya in our class? Her name is similar to the name of the big star, Xu Ye. Maybe it is the same person. Someone suddenly interrupted. The class immediately became silent. The people present weren't close to Yang Ming, but it didn't mean that they didn't know Yang Ming. They didn't know what happened to Yang Ming. Yang Ming and Suya's matter had been known by the whole class. Later, Yang Ming was decadent because of it. This was also something that everyone knew. Although Yang Ming was now a lot more low-key, his majestic image in the past was still deeply rooted in people's hearts. At that time, whoever dared to mention Suya in front of Yang Ming would be waiting to be beaten up. Therefore, over time, Suya became a taboo topic. Although the matter had passed for many years, when someone suddenly mentioned it at this time, it still made people feel a little cold. Sure enough, Yang Ming's eyes, which were originally a little slack, immediately became sharp. He glanced coldly at the person who just spoke. Sui Guangqi saw that the warm atmosphere immediately became dull. He couldn't help but complain about the classmate who just spoke, but he was more disgusted with Yang Ming in his heart. I didn't expect that a little punk in the past still had such a big influence today. Hee hee. Sui Guangqi quickly mediated and then said to Yang Ming, you have been relatively silent since the beginning. You should sing a song too. Yang Ming looked at these people who had been with him for 4 years in junior high school. He couldn't help but think of Suya. Especially after listening to Zhou Jiejia's song, he couldn't get rid of it for a long time. Yang Ming didn't care about the surprised eyes of the people present. He stood up directly and said to Zhou Jiejie, help me order the song, you who sat next to me. Oh, okay. Zhou Jiejie bit her lip. Sure enough, he still can't forget me. However, Zhou Jiejie still ordered the song that Yang Ming wanted. Yang Ming's hoarse singing, accompanied by a melodious accompaniment, resounded in the restaurant. Tomorrow, will you remember the diary you wrote yesterday? Tomorrow, will you still miss the you who loved to cry the most? Who married the sentimental you? Who read your diary? Who tied up your long hair? Who made your wedding dress? Chapter 387. The days of the past are far away. I will also have my wife. I will also show her photos and tell her about you who sat at the same table. Who married the sentimental you? Who comforted the crybaby you? As he sang to this point, Yang Ming couldn't help but recall the scenes with Suya in the past. He thought of Chen Mengyan, Lan Ling, Xiao Qing, Lin Jiyun, and even Zhao Ying. The lyrics of this song, Isn't It About Me? At the end of the song, Yang Ming didn't stay any longer. He strode directly to the door. He didn't look at anyone, and he didn't say anything. Yang Ming. Zhou Jiejie called, but Yang Ming didn't stop at all. AI. Zhou Jiejie sighed helplessly. Sun Haoming looked at the back of Yang Ming's leaving figure and quickly chased after him. After Yang Ming and Sun Haoming left, the atmosphere of the banquet was obviously much worse. Although the two people were dispensable characters when they were there, once Yang Ming left, the atmosphere unconsciously became depressed. Sui Guangqi tried to improve the atmosphere a few more times, but it still didn't work, so everyone started to chat with each other. Yang Ming came to the hall outside the restaurant and took a long breath. Yes, he couldn't stand it anymore. The depression in the song seemed to seep into his heart. Yang Ming was so sad that he couldn't extricate himself. He even had a feeling that he wanted to cry. Sitting on the sofa, he couldn't calm down for a long time. Yang Ming closed his eyes and recalled everything that had happened. The bits and pieces with Suya. After a long time, Yang Ming opened his eyes, but he saw Sun Haoming sitting next to him. Are you thinking about her again? Sun Haoming saw Yang Ming open his eyes and asked with a sigh. Yes, but it's just thinking about it. Yang Ming smiled bitterly and helplessly. I remember you always asked me that when we were still in school. Well, at that time, I thought it was inconceivable that you would become so decadent because of a girl. In my opinion, it was impossible. Sun Haoming took a deep breath. However, later on, I understood your state of mind at that time. Tell me about yourself. Yang Ming shook his head and looked at Sun Haoming. My affairs. Sun Haoming was stunned, and his expression began to become a little hesitant. My father is dead. What? Yang Ming was stunned and didn't react in time. Surprised, aren't you? Sun Haoming nodded and said, my father was sentenced to death because of corruption. It turns out that the great father in my heart is actually a corrupt criminal. Yang Ming was shocked. He vaguely knew that Sun Haoming's father was a senior executive in a state-owned enterprise, but he didn't know his specific position. This is nothing. Do you know why I have been ignoring those girls who adore me? Sun Haoming asked bitterly. Yang Ming shook his head. He was also very puzzled. When Sun Haoming was in junior high school, he was admired by many girls, but Sun Haoming showed no interest. Because I have a girlfriend who is my childhood sweetheart. Her father is a friend of my father and also a colleague. Our two families are friends. I have been with that girl since I was a child. Sun Haoming paused and then sighed. After my father was sentenced to death, her family cut off contact with me. You gave up on yourself later. Yang Ming didn't expect Sun Haoming to experience such a big life change. Kind of, but I have nothing. I can't stand the way others look at me. I have nothing in my family. The real estate and cars were all confiscated. Sun Haoming said desolately, Yang Ming, I finally know how you felt at that time, right? Where is your mother? Yang Ming asked. Don't you know? I was a single parent since I was a child. Sun Haoming looked at Yang Ming strangely. Many people knew about this. Yang Ming shook his head. He didn't care much about these things at that time, so he didn't pay attention. But as Sun Haoming said, when his father fell, he really had no one to rely on. What are you doing now? Yang Ming asked with some regret. Sun Haoming's grades were better than his. If this didn't happen, he could have been admitted to a key university. Nothing much. I am just mingling. I lead a dance in a few nightclubs. Sun Haoming shrugged. I am a marginal figure, half black and half white. Yang Ming nodded. Naturally, he knew what Sun Haoming meant. People who led the nightclubs had some underworld connections. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do well. Then what are you going to do in the future? Yang Ming asked. You can't lead a dance for a lifetime, right? This thing eats the rice of youth. And I recently recognized a boss. I want to see if I can open a place or something like that in the future. Sun Haoming said. Recognize a boss. You want to go into the underworld? Yang Ming asked with some surprise. What else can I do? I don't have any other skills now. You also said that dancing can't be done for a lifetime. It's just eating the rice of youth. What should I do after a few years? For a person like me who is half black and half white, the best way is to go into the underworld. Sun Haoming said, it's easy to enter the industry. Have you thought about it? Yang Ming looked at Sun Haoming and asked. And I have already decided. Sun Haoming nodded. Originally, I thought you were still mingling outside. I wanted to pull you into a group and do some business with you. I didn't expect you to have turned over a new leaf. What do you mean by turning over a new leaf? It sounds like a prostitute. Yang Ming scolded with a smile. Well, I will find you to drink another day. Sun Haoming patted Yang Ming's shoulder and said, I will go first. You can play here. Let's go together. There is no one worth staying here. Yang Ming said faintly. Yang Ming, Sun Haoming, where are you going? Just as the two were about to walk to the door, they heard a voice calling them from behind. Yang Ming looked back. It turned out to be Zhou Jiejie, and Sui Guangqi and other classmates came out with her. Obviously, the banquet was over. Yang Ming, Sun Haoming, why are you in such a hurry to leave? We haven't played yet. Let's go to the disco. Although Sui Guangqi didn't like Yang Ming and Sun Haoming very much, as the organizer of the party, he still put the overall situation first. He showed that he cared about everyone. Let's go. Let's go and see. Yang Ming saw that they couldn't leave, so he said to Sun Haoming helplessly. Disco, my strong point. Let's go. I will let you see what it means to be the dance king. Sun Haoming also smiled and said. As a resort with a full range of entertainment facilities, there was a disco bar inside, and it was the kind where one ticket was sold to the end. There was no need to buy a separate ticket. Under the lead of Sui Guangqi, the group came to the Immortal Bandit Disco Bar in the Immortal Resort. The deafening sound effect suddenly surrounded Yang Ming's eardrums. For many years, he hadn't come to such a place. Yang Ming had a familiar yet unfamiliar feeling. Yeah, since high school, Yang Ming almost never came to the disco bar again. Now, the disco bar was playing a few songs that Yang Ming had never heard before. Sun Haoming was obviously not unfamiliar with this kind of environment. He quickly entered the stage and danced back and forth. Yang Ming, come on. Sun Haoming said as he twisted his body. Yang Ming's mood today wasn't very good, so it was difficult to find the state. He tried a few times, but he didn't feel anything. So, he had to give up and sit down at a rest table on the side. Zhou Jiejie is a good girl. Sweat, she is a good girl. Seems like it. It's just that Yang Ming felt that she wasn't. Back to the topic, Zhou Jiejie was obviously not interested in the disco. The reason why she followed was entirely to take care of everyone's mood. Then, Zhou Jiejie began to look for Yang Ming's figure after a few hops on the field. When she saw the direction where Yang Ming was, she quickly walked toward Yang Ming. However, before she took 2 steps, Zhou Jiejie was stopped by 2 young men who looked like punks. Zhou Jiejie frowned and wanted to go around, but the 2 young men refused to let her go. They blocked her left and right. Little sister, are you alone? The young man looked at Zhou Jiejie's face wretchedly and looked up and down. When Zhou Jiejie saw the 2 young men looking at her, she couldn't help but feel disgusted. However, Zhou Jiejie knew that they weren't good people, and she didn't want to provoke them. So, she turned around and wanted to go around in another direction. This disco bar was public. All the people who came to the resort could come here to play, so it was a mix of good and bad people. Zhou Jiejie also knew that these people weren't good people, so she wasn't prepared to provoke them. When the 2 people saw that Zhou Jiejie didn't dare to resist, they thought that Zhou Jiejie was easy to bully. So, they whistled unscrupulously. Little sister, why are you turning around? Are you letting your brother see your butt? It's so round. Yeah, it's so round. Twist twice to let your brother see. The other young man also whistled and jumped directly in front of Zhou Jiejie. Apparently, he wasn't going to let her go easily. If you do this again, I will call someone. Zhou Jiejie warned. Call someone. Well, call a little sister over. Everyone can have fun together. The young man said with a smile. Chapter 388. Please get out of the way. Zhou Jiejie was a little annoyed at the 2 young men in front of her. Although Zhou Jiejie's voice was loud, in this lively disco bar, it seemed to be much smaller. It was instantly covered by the noisy music. However, Zhou Jiejie was the focus of many people's attention, so when Zhou Jiejie was in trouble, a few boys in the class immediately rushed over. The opportunity to perform in front of a beauty was not always available. Thinking of this, a few boys who had a good impression of Zhou Jiejie began to be eager to try. Anyway, there was strength in numbers. Although the other party was a punk, they had a lot of people. What happened? Sui Guangqi spoke first. As the organizer of the party, Sui Guangqi was obligated to be responsible for everyone's safety. Moreover, now that Zhou Jiejie was in trouble, Sui Guangqi was even more duty-bound. Who are you? The 2 young men obviously didn't put the people dressed as students in front of them in their eyes. They glared at Sui Guangqi and asked with a cold snort, ignoring him. She is with us. Sui Guangqi pointed at Zhou Jiejie and said, I hope you don't entangle with her. Otherwise, if things get out of hand, it won't be good for anyone. My mother. Young man A said exaggeratedly, you scared me to death. Ha 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 ha. Young man B also laughed, get out of hand. do you know who I am? Get out of hand. If you want to get out of hand, you need to have the ability to do so. Sui Guangqi's face changed. Usually, no one dared to be so arrogant to him. But in this kind of place, he really couldn't be too serious with these little punks. Otherwise, it would be hard to clean up after a fight. Although Sui Guangqi wasn't afraid of them, a strong dragon couldn't suppress a local snake. After going out, there were 10,000 ways to deal with them. But now, he still had to bear with it. Brother, don't do things too ruthlessly. Sui Guangqi said faintly. Brother? Whose brother are you? Young man A obviously didn't buy his words. Ha, he's talking about your little brother. Young man B continued, he said he's a dick. Sui Guangqi's face became more and more unpleasant. Then, what you two mean is that you must make things worse. Humph, whatever you say. We're definitely going to get this chick today. You can just stay where you want to be. Young man A snorted. Okay, since you want to play, it's fine. Sui Guangqi took out his mobile phone from his pocket and was about to make a call. Fuck you. Young man B grabbed the phone in Sui Guangqi's hand and smashed it on the ground. Then, he stepped on it twice. You want to call the police? You are courting death. As he said this, he raised his fist and smashed it at Sui Guangqi. Half of his gold-rimmed glasses flew away, leaving only half hanging on his ear. Why are you hitting him? The boys in the class couldn't take it anymore and started to blame young man B. However, despite the accusations, no one took the initiative to make the first move. All of them were just talking. So what? Young man B shook his fist arrogantly. I'll kill whoever dares to come up. These boys in the class, to put it bluntly, were just pretending. When it came to real fighting, they immediately became soft. Many people hadn't fought until now. They only dared to say a few words because there were so many of them. If they were alone, they would have already slipped away. Beat them up. No one knew who said it. Everyone immediately responded, beat them up. Yes, beat them to death. However, they were all very imposing. No one was willing to make the first move. Ha 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 ha. Young man laughed. A group of fucking cowards. You want to be the hero to save the beauty like this? Go to hell. Beauty, let's go. Brother will bring you to have some fun. Young man B said as he was about to grab Zhou Jijia. However, before his hand reached out, his whole body flew out with a whoosh and smashed into the corner more than 2 meters away. He groaned twice and rolled his eyes directly. Yes, he was kicked out, and the person who kicked him obviously used a lot of strength. Of course, only Yang Ming had such a strong leg strength. Moreover, it was only him who could be so arrogant to come over and kick people directly. Yang Ming didn't like to say some polite words. His principle was that if I don't like you, I will kill you directly. So much bullshit is better than a kick. Although Yang Ming didn't notice Zhou Jijia before, there were so many people gathered here later. Yang Ming couldn't not notice. When he saw that it was 2 punks who were flirting with Zhou Jijia, he couldn't help but hesitate. Should I come forward to stop it? After thinking about it, it was reasonable for him to take action. Not for anything else, but because Zhou Jijia came with him, and she was his classmate, Yang Ming couldn't ignore it. Moreover, whenever Yang Ming thought of the kiss with Zhou Jijia that night, he always had a strange feeling in his heart. He felt that he seemed to owe Zhou Jijia a little. It was also because of this mentality that even if Yang Ming didn't like Zhou Jijia very much, he still couldn't ignore her when something happened to her. Just as Yang Ming was about to make a move, he saw that the other people in the class also came over, so Yang Ming sat down again. In his opinion, with so many people, it was impossible that they couldn't handle 2 punks. Even if one person went up to punch and kick, it was enough for these two people to stay in the hospital for half a month. But what Yang Ming didn't expect was that these classmates were so timid. They only knew how to talk without action. Seeing that Zhou Jie was about to be flirted with, Yang Ming stood up helplessly and walked over without saying anything. He directly raised his leg and kicked young man B away. This sudden turn of events made everyone present dumbfounded. However, Zhou Jie was very excited at the moment. Yang Ming actually cared about her. This was enough to make Zhou Jie happy to death. Zhou Jie suddenly had a feeling of dizziness. It seemed that her efforts were rewarded after all. If it was the previous Yang Ming, it would be good if he didn't beat her up again. Now, Yang Ming actually helped her deal with the punks who flirted with her. What are you doing? Young man A was obviously more afraid of Yang Ming's strong leg strength. He asked with some trepidation. Take your shitty bad friend to the hospital. Otherwise, if he dies, it's not my fault. Yang Ming said lightly. You fucking. Young man A was obviously enraged. Shua, he took out a switchblade from his pocket and was about to stab Yang Ming. Hey Z, come back. A voice sounded behind the young man. Brother bye. Young man A, who was Hey Z, quickly retreated and said respectfully, this kid hit a raccoon. Kid, where are you from? How dare you make trouble in my place? Zhang Penbai looked at Yang Ming and asked with a sneer. Take care of your underlings. Don't let them come out and embarrass themselves again. Yang Ming wasn't afraid of the boss-like character in front of him. He said slowly. What you said isn't right. You hit my people in my place. Is it my fault? Zhang Penbai was a little annoyed. Think whatever you want. This is none of your business. You better not get yourself involved. Yang Ming said arrogantly. This was no longer the territory of Songjiang City. West Star Mountain belonged to Litong County. Although Litong County was a county under Songjiang, Yang Ming wasn't sure if Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan's forces had penetrated here. However, Yang Ming didn't care. At most, it was just another fight. Who was afraid of who? Don't be too arrogant. Otherwise, it is easy to get hurt. Zhang Penbai looked at Yang Ming and said. Brother Bai, don't talk nonsense with this kid. Catch him and put him in the basement. Young man A was afraid that Yang Ming would say that they were molesting Zhou Jie. After all, molesting guests in your own place was a taboo in the industry. Fuck off. Did I ask you to speak? Yang Ming looked at this person's attitude and was angry. He was the happiest when he was molesting Zhou Jie. Yang Ming gave him a slap and let him enjoy a free gain of weight. Half of his face immediately swelled up. Yang Ming deliberately controlled his strength. Otherwise, his cervical vertebra would have been broken. This time, Zhang Penbai couldn't bear it anymore. He originally wanted to know which side Yang Ming was on. Zhang Penbai was really badass in Litong County, but it was only Litong County. Most of the people who came to the Immortal Resort were ruthless people from Songjiang and even Donghai. He had seen arrogant children. Most of them were prodigal sons who relied on their families. However, this kind of person really couldn't be offended. At most, he could only scare them. Chapter 389. It was his first time seeing such a ruthless and merciless kid like Yang Ming. Zhang Penbai was 38 years old this year, so it was normal for him to think that Yang Ming was a kid. Kid, you hit my underling before, but I didn't see it. Now that I'm standing here, you hit my underling in front of me. Aren't you being too arrogant? Zhang Penbai's face was gloomy as he said fiercely, are you not putting me in your eyes? Hee hee. Yang Ming smiled faintly. I don't put you in my eyes. I think it's your underling who doesn't put you in his eyes. When the boss was talking, he interrupted and pointed at the boss. Is this your underling? I just helped you to teach your underling a lesson. This. Humph. Yang Ming's words weren't unreasonable. Zhang Penbai just wanted to be angry, but the truth was like this. Which boss likes his underling to tell him what to do? He could only snort coldly to express his dissatisfaction. What the hell is going on? Zhang Penbai wasn't stupid. He stared coldly at the young man with high cheeks. Now, it was obvious that Yang Ming wouldn't deliberately come to find trouble. It must be his underling who offended him. Because although Yang Ming's tone was loud, it wasn't the kind of rogue tone, but calm and strong. How could a person who could stand in front of him and not be afraid of him lower himself to the same level as a punk? Brother Bai, we. Young man saw that he couldn't hide it, so he simply lowered his head and didn't have the arrogance just now. Zhang Penbai saw his hesitation and understood the situation in his heart. This kid must have something to hide from me. Moreover, it was likely that he made a mistake first. Otherwise, he couldn't not explain it to me. Humph. I'll deal with you two when we go back. Zhang Penbai scolded, and then said to Yang Ming, you hit my underling. There should be a reason, right? Reason? Originally, I never needed a reason to hit people, but if you want to hear a reason, then your two underlings intended to molest my underling. Is this reason enough? Yang Ming sneered and said, if I didn't hear you wrong, you should be in charge of this place, right? Molesting a guest in his own place. TSK. Your subordinates are really too talented to be able to do such a thing. I suspect that your two subordinates were sent by your enemies to mess with you. If you drive away all the customers in this disco bar, won't the boss of the resort fire you? Yang Ming's words made Zhang Penbai blush. That's right, even though he was in charge of the disco bar's safety, he still had to rely on the Immortal Resort's boss to survive. Alright, since this is our fault, then I can't cover up for my subordinates. I will deal with these two people. Zhang Penbai nodded. But you've already taught my people a lesson. I hope you won't spread rumors when you go out. Although I, Zhang Penbai, don't have much ability, I can still fight to the death. Zhang Penbai was in the wrong now, so he had no choice but to lower his head. He was also afraid that Yang Ming would spread rumors after he went out, which would be detrimental to the resort's business, so he gave him a warning. Yang Ming didn't fall for his tricks. Fight to the death. If you come, at most I'll let you break my net. How can I let the fish die? The fish still have to write a book. What a joke, I'm too lazy to go out and say it, I don't have the time. Since the other party had given him face, Yang Ming couldn't be too ungrateful, so he replied faintly. Zhang Penbai nodded. It's a small world, brother, we'll meet again someday. Just as Zhang Penbai was about to leave with his two underlings, the music in the disco bar stopped abruptly. The dazzling lights immediately filled the entire place, and the sudden brightness made the people in the area cry out in surprise. Before everyone could react, they saw a middle-aged man with a big belly walk in from the door of the disco bar. He went straight to Zhang Penbai, swung his arm, and slapped his face. Boss. Zhang Penbai looked at the person in front of him with some astonishment. This person was the owner of the Immortal Resort, Sui Yueming. You're fucking blind. Don't you know that the young master brought his classmates to play today? Sui Yuemin said angrily, your people actually went to flirt with the young master's guests. I think you don't want to work anymore, right? What? Zhang Penbai was shocked when he heard it. Young master. Could it be that the head office's young master is here? Humph. I don't know what to say to you. You're getting worse and worse. Sui Yuemin glared at Zhang Penbai and said angrily to Sui Guangqi beside him, apologize to the young master. Young master. I didn't know you were here, you see. Zhang Penbai saw Sui Guangqi's black eye and knew that he must have been beaten up by his underling. Forget it, uncle. It seems that my classmate has already settled it in private. Sui Guangqi shrugged and said, it's fine. Uncle, you take him out. Okay, young master. Sui Yuemin nodded respectfully. Although he was Sui Guangqi's uncle, if he wasn't Sui Guangqi's father, which was his own elder brother, then he was nothing. Not to mention being the owner of the immortal resort, he might even be selling fruits on the street now. Although Sui Guangqi's tone was very calm and there was nothing wrong with it, his heart was already very unhappy. Yang Ming stole his limelight. If Yang Ming didn't appear, then he would be the one to calm this storm. But now, it seemed to be a bit of hindsight. Although he was angry in his heart, Sui Guangqi's face was still calm. Instead, he smiled and said to Yang Ming, hee, thanks to you just now. Otherwise, I don't know when my people would have arrived. Fortunately, it didn't cause any consequences. As the saying goes, one doesn't hit a smiling person. Although Yang Ming didn't have a good impression of Sui Guangqi, he still nodded. Okay, everyone continue to play. It's fine now. Sui Guangqi said to everyone. At this time, the disco bar also restored the atmosphere just now. The music sounded, the lights were intertwined, and the lights were red. Zhou Jie, you go and rest. I'm sorry. Sui Guangqi said very apologetically. It's fine. Zhou Jie shook her head, but her heart was very shocked. This resort is actually opened by Sui Guangqi's family. Yang Ming was also a little shocked, but he didn't take it seriously. Seeing that there was nothing for him to do here, he turned and left. Wait for me, Yang Ming. Zhou Jie saw that Yang Ming was leaving and quickly called out. Yang Ming frowned. He didn't look back, but he still slowed down his pace. Looking at Zhou Jie who chased after him, Sui Guangqi's heart was very angry. Originally, the role of the hero saving the beauty today should be me. His bitter calculations were all in vain. Sui Guangqi rubbed his blue eyes. You are quite ruthless. However, I have just hinted to my second uncle to teach that Zhang Penbai a lesson. Yes, there was no such thing as a coincidence. This scene of a bully flirting with a beauty and Guangqi showing off his power was planned by Sui Guangqi in order to win Zhou Jie's favor. However, now it seemed that it had failed. The reason for this failure was Yang Ming. How could Sui Guangqi not be angry? Without Sui Guangqi's permission, it was impossible to flirt with a guest in his own place even if his brain was full of water. Wasn't this equivalent to smashing his own place? However, Sui Guangqi didn't show it at all. This was the powerful part of him. No matter how angry he was in his heart, his face was still smiling. Yang Ming, thank you for just now. Zhou Jie caught up with Yang Ming and said very shyly. It's nothing. We are all classmates. Yang Ming replied indifferently. Hee, you finally don't hate me. If it was before, you might have bullied me with them, right? Zhou Jie said with a smile. Before? Yang Ming broke into a sweat after listening. I couldn't have helped others flirt with Zhou Jie in the past, right? He couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Am I so bad? Yes. Zhou Jie nodded. Anyway, you have really changed, really. Yang Ming shook his head. Everyone has changed. I am not the only one who has changed. Maybe you have changed too. Zhou Jie smiled and didn't answer. I have never changed. Of course, it was my feelings for Yang Ming. Do you like Shuya? Yang Ming found an empty seat and sat down. He asked Zhou Jie next to him. Chapter 390. N. I think the people in the song seem to be you and Suya. After Zhou Jie finished speaking, she whispered, how good would it be if that person was me? What did you say? Yang Ming was stunned. He didn't hear it clearly. The environment here was noisy. Yang Ming was absent-minded, so he didn't hear Zhou Jie's words clearly. Nothing. Zhou Jie didn't have the courage just now. She couldn't say the same words. Yeah, Suya. I haven't heard from her for a long time. Yang Ming said faintly. Right. Yang Ming. There is one thing I want to tell you. Before saying this, Zhou Jie's heart was still very struggling. After all, even a generous girl had a selfish side. Although she decided to be with Yang Ming no matter how many women were around Yang Ming, she wanted to be with him. However, who would want to have one more? However, Zhou Jie also understood that Yang Ming was always thinking about Suya. This was something that she couldn't stop. Moreover, never mind her, she believed that even Yang Ming's current girlfriend, Chen Mengyan, couldn't stop Yang Ming from missing Suya. Therefore, Zhou Jie might as well be generous and tell Yang Ming everything she knew. This could also increase her weight in Yang Ming's heart. What is it? Yang Ming was a bit puzzled. Zhou Jie was in class with him almost every day. What other things did she have to say to him? After Suya transferred, did she contact you? Zhou Jie didn't directly say anything but asked Yang Ming. No. Yang Ming shook his head. After she left, there was no news. Maybe she forgot me. No. Zhou Jie shook her head. Yang Ming, Suya actually didn't forget you. How do you know? Yang Ming immediately sat up straight and looked at Zhou Jie nervously. Yes, it was impossible for Yang Ming to remain calm when it came to Suya. Because Suya wrote you a letter after that, and it wasn't just one letter. Zhou Jie looked at Yang Ming and said word by word. What? What did you say? Yang Ming grabbed Zhou Jie's shoulder excitedly and shook it back and forth. You said that Suya wrote me a letter. But where are the letters? Where is the letter? You saw it. Zhou Jie was a girl. How could she withstand Yang Ming's strong shaking? She was suddenly confused and disoriented. She pointed to her shoulder and smiled bitterly. That, can you let me say it slowly? Ugh. I'm sorry. Yang Ming also realized his gaffe and let go of his hand awkwardly. Zhou Jie didn't mind Yang Ming putting his hand on her shoulder, but as long as he didn't shake it back and forth. Seeing Yang Ming take his hand away, Zhou Jie was slightly disappointed. It's okay. Zhou Jie smiled and shook her head. I did see the letter that Suya gave you. You mean, you hid the letter? When Yang Ming heard Zhou Jie's words, he immediately misunderstood. He glared at Zhou Jie and waited for her to admit it. He was going to explode. Me? Zhou Jie smiled bitterly and shook her head. I don't have that much power. In fact, after Suya transferred to another school, I already regretted that I talked too much. Who is that? Who took my letter? Yang Ming's eyes were bloodshot. He was on the verge of going berserk. It's Teacher Wu. Zhou Jie sighed and said, when I went to his office to deliver the workbook, I saw him opening a letter. I glanced at the recipient on the envelope. It was your name. Wu Qiren. Humph. How do you know that the letter was written by Suya? Yang Ming resisted the anger that was about to erupt. Teacher Wu read the letter in the office. Zhou Jie looked at Yang Ming's expression and said carefully. Read it once. Very good, very good. Yang Ming gritted his teeth and said, "What did the letter say?" The letter was all about how much Suya missed you, and she said that she would wait for you, and let you wait for her. Zhou Jiejia shook her head and said, "Teacher Wu also laughed at you at the time. He said that little brats also know love. If the two of you are in love for a long time, why would you be together all the time?" Bang! With a loud noise, Yang Ming slammed his fist on the table beside him. The small wooden table was immediately cracked. He believed that as long as he touched it again, it would fall apart. Wu Qiren. Really fucking shameless. Yang Ming said angrily, "Did Suya say where she was in the letter?" Teacher Wu read it. "Don't call him Teacher Wu." Yang Ming interrupted Zhou Jiejia's words and said coldly, "Call him a shameless person." "Oh, okay, the letter that Wu Qiren read didn't say anything. It should have been mentioned in the previous letters." Zhou Jiejia quickly changed her words. In her heart, she naturally had to obey Yang Ming's words. "How do you know there was a letter before?" Yang Ming asked. "Because old Wu Qiren, he said at the time, this little brat is quite persistent. She wrote so many letters. But she will never see the reply." Zhou Jiejia quickly replied. Wu Qiren, you are good." Yang Ming's eyes were full of resentment. He just brushed past Suya again. And the culprit of all this was Wu Qiren. Is Wu Qiren still in Red Flag Junior High School? Yang Ming asked. "I don't know about this. I haven't gone back for a long time, but you can ask Sui Guangqi. He should know better." Zhou Jiejia suggested. "Forget it. I will go back and find him." Yang Ming said faintly, "I hope he still keeps those letters. Otherwise, Wu Qiren had nothing to do with Zhou Jiejia." But seeing Yang Ming's cold expression, Zhou Jiejia couldn't help but worry about Wu Qiren. However, who asked him to reap what he sowed? Yang Ming was now excited and angry. He was excited because Suya never forgot about him. She still had feelings for him. Otherwise, it would be impossible to write so many letters in a row. If two people had feelings for each other for a long time, they wouldn't be together all the time. Yes, Suya was right. In front of Yang Ming's eyes, Suya's sweet and determined face seemed to appear. However, Yang Ming was a little worried. My letters were kept by Wu Qiren. Suya didn't receive a reply for a long time. Would she lose confidence in me? Would she think that I have forgotten her? AI. It wasn't that Yang Ming thought too much, but this was the fact. The longevity of love was that both people had feelings for each other. If Suya thought that I didn't like her anymore, would she still wait? Maybe. Suya might be lying in the arms of others, sweet and happy. Thinking of this, Yang Ming had a heartache for no reason. Suya is a persistent person. Yang Ming, don't think too much. Zhou Jiejia seemed to see Yang Ming's inner struggle, so she quickly comforted him. Maybe, one day, Suya will appear in front of you. I hope so, but it seems impossible. Yang Ming shook his head. Isn't there a saying? It's called lovers get married. Although Zhou Jiejia said this sentence to Yang Ming, wasn't it also to herself? She didn't know when she and Yang Ming would have a result. But Zhou Jiejia didn't care. She could wait. If one day wasn't enough, she would wait for 2 days. If 1 month wasn't enough, she would wait for 2 months. If 1 year wasn't enough, she would wait for 2 years. If it really wasn't enough, even if it was 10 years, Zhou Jiejia believed that she could definitely wait. Yang Ming smiled bitterly inside. I'm afraid that Suya has already forgotten me. Otherwise, if she couldn't receive the letter, she could have called. Maybe, she has some unavoidable reasons. Besides, didn't you change your family's phone number? Said Zhou Jijia. Hey! How do you know? Yang Ming was stunned. He didn't expect Zhou Jijia to know about these little things in his family. I saw it in the university's contact list. My own contact list is in the computer. I found it when I added the update. Zhou Jijia explained. In fact, she had memorized Yang Ming's previous family's phone number. Sometimes, the love in junior high school was so funny. You secretly loved someone and didn't dare to confess. You tried every means to find out the other party's phone number. You even memorized it, but you never called it once. But you still remembered it very clearly. You could even memorize it in your dreams. This was the love in childhood. It was very innocent and ridiculous, but it was the most profound and most unforgettable. Chapter 391. But it was changed after she entered high school. She used to use the original number. Yang Ming said, if she wanted to call, she wouldn't have waited for so long. Maybe she has some difficulties. Zhou Jijia explained for Suya, I believe in Suya. Maybe. Yang Ming could only comfort himself. Otherwise, what else could he do? In fact, Zhou Jijia was right. Suya really has difficulties. She couldn't call Yang Ming. Suya, who had just transferred to another school, was completely under the supervision of Su's father. She wasn't allowed to bring her mobile phone and all her calls were monitored. The purpose was to prevent her from continuing to contact Yang Ming. In desperation, Suya had to use the most primitive method, which was to write a letter. Suya wrote a letter at school and then asked her friend to help send it out. However, there was no reply after sending a few letters. Suya even thought that her father colluded with the school to withhold her letter. However, Suya's friend later confirmed that it wasn't what Suya imagined. Because Suya was now studying in an aristocratic school, the teachers couldn't interfere with the privacy of the students, and it was impossible for the students' letters to be withheld privately. Poor Suya. Sometimes she was smart, but sometimes she was stupid. Since she could think of her letter being withheld, didn't she think that her letter might be withheld by Wu Qiren? But fortunately, Suya was the kind of person who was stubborn. Once she decided, even 10 cows couldn't pull her back. Therefore, her feelings for Yang Ming hadn't changed from the beginning to the end. This was also the most important reason why the two people could finally walk on the red carpet. The disco was only open until 8 o'clock. This place wasn't open to the public, so it was only open for a period of time every day. The lights gradually lit up, announcing the end of the disco dancing time. Sui Guangqi took everyone to a large private room. It was about 100 square meters. After everyone entered, it didn't seem crowded. Yang Ming and Zhou Jijia naturally separated. They found Sun Haoming and stood together. Yang Ming, I didn't expect you to still be so fierce. Sun Haoming praised, you're even more awesome than before, one punch and one kick to end the battle. Hee hee. Yang Ming smiled faintly. Fighting was not a good thing. To be honest, Yang Ming, it's a pity that you don't come out. Sun Haoming said regretfully, this skill is much stronger than most of the people in the underworld. Okay, Haoming, stop talking. Yang Ming shook his head. I have to go to school. Well, I know. I'm just saying. Sun Haoming nodded. I'm sure everyone must be tired from the disco. Now, let's play a game to liven up the atmosphere. Sui Guangqi stood in the middle of everyone and said, as for what the game is, everyone should already know, right? Yeah, let's start. A few boys were already eager to try. What game? Yang Ming asked inexplicably. He didn't know what Sui Guangqi was going to do. Hee, it seems that there are still people who don't know. I have to explain it. Although Sui Guangqi was a little impatient in his heart, he was still very enthusiastic on the surface. The game we are going to play is called a safe kiss. Safe kiss. Yang Ming was stunned. He had seen this term before. Some Hong Kong and Taiwan stars would sometimes do this kind of activity when they met with their fans. The so-called safe kiss was two people kissing with a thin film between them. It looked like a kiss, but in fact, nothing could be received. It was just a tactile feeling. It seems that you understand it too. Sui Guangqi said with a smile, well, I have already counted. There are a total of 18 girls present. There are exactly 18 boys including me. In this way, no more, no less. Everyone has to participate in the game. When Yang Ming was confused, he saw Sui Guangqi come out with a cardboard box and said, I have made the name of each female student into a slip of paper. Everyone can only draw randomly. What are you doing? Safe kiss. Although it was very different from a real kiss, it was still a physical contact after all. Moreover, it was still lips. Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable. Why didn't these people object? In fact, what Yang Ming didn't know was that the people in the class had reached a consensus on the internet before. Occasionally, there were one or two who were unwilling, but they were persuaded by everyone with reason and emotion. Zhou Jiejie was one of the few who objected, but when she saw that everyone agreed, and Zhou Jiejie herself was a class cadre, she had no choice but to agree. However, she had been praying in her heart. She hoped that the person who picked her would be Yang Ming. She firmly believed that her determination would definitely move the heavens, and there would be a miracle. While everyone was drawing lots, Sui Guangqi took out the pre-made plastic wrap with a frame and handed it to the girls one by one. This thing was made very special. The frame was square, and there was a fixed handle below. Then, the plastic wrap was inlaid on the frame to form an isolation. When it was used, as long as the girl raised this thing and put it in her mouth, it would be fine. Yang Ming really admired the imagination of the first person who invented this thing. It was too badass. It was the god of show. Looking at everyone happily drawing lots, Yang Ming was somewhat helpless. These people could play anything, but they had to play such a dirty game. Those variety shows were really harmful. Let's go, Yang Ming. It's our turn. Even Sun Haoming was eager to try. Yang Ming was helpless. Under the urging of Sun Haoming, he had to come to the lottery box. Yang Ming originally didn't want to participate, but when he saw that everyone was so excited, he couldn't bear to spoil the mood of others. Although he wasn't familiar with them, after all, they came out to play together. Moreover, Sui Guangqi was taking care of him everywhere, so Yang Ming couldn't refuse. Looking around at the girls in the class, Yang Ming was unfamiliar with each and every one of them. Some of them didn't even speak a word to him. Some of them couldn't even be called by their names. Yang Ming had a headache. Let me kiss these people. What kind of international joke is this? After looking around, the most familiar one was Zhou Jiejie. Well, then it will be Zhou Jiejie. Anyway, I have kissed her once before. A second time won't make a difference. Besides, there should be no problem with the plastic wrap, right? Thinking of this, Yang Ming looked at the lottery box with his special ability. What he was most worried about was that someone had already taken Zhou Jiejie's lot away. Now, there were only 8 pieces of paper left in the lottery box. Yang Ming looked at it carefully. Fortunately, Zhou Jiejie was still there. But, who was the one who stuffed Zhou Jiejie's lot into the crevice? How can I draw it? However, Yang Ming hesitated a little and understood the general situation. The last person to draw the lot was obviously Sui Guangqi. If Zhou Jiejia's lot was hidden in a position that wasn't easy to be touched, then wouldn't he? Yang Ming couldn't help but despise Sui Guangqi. This guy with a human face but a beast's heart. Isn't this chick Zhou Jiejia just beautiful? In fact, she is very lascivious. I have seen her self-touching video. Yang Ming directly reached out and took Zhou Jiejia's lot out, then he stood aside. Zhou Jiejia was now anxiously waiting. She stood aside and looked at Yang Ming's hand. She wanted to know who he got, but it was too far away. Zhou Jiejia actually couldn't see anything. She could only wait anxiously for the final result. When Sui Guangqi put his hand into the lottery box for the last time, his face couldn't help but change. Zhou Jiejia's note was actually taken away by someone. How is it possible? Sui Guangqi remembered clearly that he had put the note with Zhou Jiejia's name in the crack of the top left edge of the paper box. Most people couldn't touch that place. However, Sui Guangqi was only puzzled in his heart. His hands were still moving, and he took out the last piece of paper from the box. This also confirmed his previous guess. Zhou Jiejia's note was taken away by someone else. Otherwise, it was impossible for there to be one left in the box. When Sui Guangqi opened the note and looked at it, his face, which had always been calm, changed slightly. The one he got was actually the fattest and ugliest girl with bad breath, Dong Hyunyu. Sui Guangqi was dizzy, and he almost fainted on the ground. However, his tenacious endurance forced him to calm down. He smiled and said to everyone, "Next, take the note in your hand and look for the person on it. The passionate kiss begins now." After announcing this sentence, everyone began to look for their respective partners. Sui Guangqi could only clench his teeth and come to Dong Hyunyu, who had a love-struck look. Chapter 392. Zhou Jiejia was very nervous now. She was afraid that the person in front of her wasn't Yang Ming. Yang Ming played this game for the first time, so he was a little awkward. He planned to see how others did it first, so he wasn't in a hurry to find Zhou Jiejia. There were a few lecherous people who had already started to kiss the person they had drawn. Both men and women were like dry firewood. Obviously, they had been looking forward to this activity for a long time. It was a good thing to be able to have an affair without cheating. Therefore, many people's moral bottom line had not been crossed, so they simply kissed openly. Was this no different from a normal kiss? Yang Ming looked and shook his head. He saw a few pairs of men and women who were so active that they almost broke the plastic wrap. Why bother? Since they were so hungry, why didn't they just kiss directly? It was even separated by a plastic wrap. I really couldn't understand. After understanding the general situation, Yang Ming was also ready to act. Looking at Zhou Jiejia's anxious look, Yang Ming thought, could it be that this chick is anxious to be kissed? What a little slut. However, this was Yang Ming misunderstanding her. The reason why Zhou Jiejia was anxious was that she was afraid that the person she was kissing wasn't Yang Ming. If it was someone else, what would Zhou Jiejia do? So, how could she not be anxious? A classmate had drawn a partner who wasn't very good looking. When he suddenly saw that there was no one in front of Zhou Jiejia, this kid had the idea of fishing in troubled waters. Maybe, Zhou Jiejia didn't get drawn. Wouldn't I be taking advantage of her? Anyway, there was no one now. At most, he would say that he kissed the wrong person. Hee hee. I'm so evil. Thinking of this guy approached Zhou Jiejia. Zhou Jiejia was shocked. No way, how could it be someone else? Just as she was about to say something, the evil guy's shoulder was patted by Yang Ming. I say, are you standing in the wrong place? This evil guy originally wanted to explain a few words. When he turned around and saw that it was Yang Ming, he was almost scared out of his wits. He thought, forget it. I can't afford to offend this guy. If he kicks me to death, I'll be finished. I might as well enjoy the girl who isn't very good looking. Thus, he hurriedly apologized and left in a hurry. I didn't expect us to be partners. Yang Ming said with some embarrassment. Zhou Jie nodded with a blush and whispered. Then, let's start. Yang Ming looked at the people around him who had already entered the zone. I can't just stand here stupidly, right? He then lowered his head and kissed Dong Hyunyu with all his might. Okay. Zhou Jie nodded stupidly and then raised the plastic wrap for isolation. Then I'll kiss you. Yang Ming felt so awkward. Damn, who suggested this game? Zhou Jie nodded. Let's go. Yang Ming gritted his teeth and kissed her with his eyes closed. Zhou Jie also closed her eyes. Although this time it was separated by a layer of plastic wrap, Zhou Jie's mood was unusually excited. Last time, it was a blunder kiss. This time, although it was a safe kiss, it was when both of them were awake, so this time, Zhou Jie was more excited than the last time. She was nervous. Of course, most of all, she was looking forward to it. When Yang Ming's lips touched Zhou Jie's lips, Zhou Jie's body trembled. Yang Ming had already made up his mind. Kiss then kiss. What's the big deal? It's not like I haven't kissed before. However, as they kissed, Yang Ming felt that something was wrong. Why does it feel so wet? However, Yang Ming didn't think much about it. Anyway, there was a plastic wrap in the middle. It was probably my own saliva, right? Yang Ming gradually got into the mood of kissing. Zhou Jie's kissing skills were very inexperienced. It made Yang Ming have an illusion that the person in front of him was Chen Mengyan. Therefore, he unconsciously extended his tongue forward, but he didn't expect to actually extend it into Zhou Jie's mouth. There seemed to be no barrier. Strange, the taste of this plastic wrap is so good. Could it be specially made for kissing? Yang Ming played this game for the first time, so he didn't understand it very well. He thought, this is no different from a real kiss, right? Zhou Jie seemed to feel that something was wrong. A girl's senses were more sensitive. The feeling of Yang Ming's tongue touching her mouth was so real. It didn't feel like there was a plastic wrap. Could it be that the plastic wrap was broken? Zhou Jie thought so. But if it's broken, it's just right. Anyway, the person in front of me is Yang Ming. If it were another person, I'm afraid I wouldn't be so calm. However, Zhou Jie was also very puzzled. How could this plastic wrap be broken just like that? There was no feeling of forewarning at all. Doesn't that mean that other people's plastic wrap is also broken? Then this safe kiss is too unsafe, right? Thinking of this, Zhou Jie couldn't help but have some fear. If the person who drew the lot today wasn't Yang Ming, what should I do? However, it seems that my sincerity really moved God. At least, Zhou Jie thought so. Yang Ming was too immersed in the kiss before, so he didn't notice it. But gradually, he felt that something was wrong. If the taste of this plastic wrap was good, then the smacking sound when the two people kissed couldn't be fake, right? Moreover, Yang Ming clearly felt the moisture in Zhou Jie's mouth and the faint mint taste. This was Zhou Jie's favorite chewing gum. She always ate it usually. So Yang Ming was very familiar with it. And this taste seemed to be gradually entering his mouth. Yang Ming felt that something was wrong. Could it be that the plastic wrap was broken? Thinking of this, Yang Ming couldn't help but be shocked. He hurriedly pushed Zhou Jie away and looked at the middle of the kiss. He was immediately shocked. In the middle of the plastic wrap, there was already a big hole. It can't be, right? This thing is so fragile. However, Yang Ming soon discovered that it wasn't the case. This was obviously not a trace of a break, but a feeling of melting. Because there were no traces of tearing, but it was natural to show a round shape. Yang Ming carefully touched the plastic wrap. There was a sticky feeling. He licked it with his tongue. Damn! Suddenly, Yang Ming was dumbfounded. Who the fuck is playing with me? What kind of plastic wrap is this? It is clearly a thin layer of paper made of glutinous rice. With a lick of saliva, wouldn't it melt immediately? What kind of safe kiss is this? This is clearly an unsafe kiss. This is made of glutinous rice. Yang Ming said with some embarrassment. It seems to be. Zhou Jiejia lowered her head and didn't dare to look directly at Yang Ming. She said with some shyness. Then the others. Yang Ming thought of this and quickly looked around. Damn, this group of perverts. They are still kissing so passionately. It seems that they don't intend to stop for a while. Some even used their hands to touch each other's bodies back and forth. However, these weren't what Yang Ming was concerned about. Yang Ming was concerned about whether other people's plastic wrap was like his. Obviously, this wasn't the case because Yang Ming clearly saw that many people's plastic wrap was intact. Of course, there were some people who deliberately tore it. However, Yang Ming could see with his X-ray vision whether the plastic wrap was torn or melted. At present, only the one in Zhou Jiejia's hand was made of glutinous rice paper. Thinking of this, Yang Ming couldn't help but frown deeply. He glanced at Sui Guangqi, who was kissing Dong Hyunyu. From the note hidden in the interlayer to the plastic wrap made of glutinous rice paper. Connecting the dots, Yang Ming smelled a hint of conspiracy. Yes, this was 100% Sui Guangqi's trick. His purpose was Zhou Jiejia. He used this despicable means to kiss Zhou Jiejia. Although Yang Ming didn't have a good impression of Zhou Jiejia, he had kissed her twice for nothing. You can't be too shameless, right? He could only secretly remind Zhou Jiejia. Although Yang Ming didn't like Zhou Jiejia very much, in contrast, he felt that Sui Guangqi was more dangerous. A knife hidden in a smile. He was a complete schemer. Only ours is made of glutinous rice paper. What do you think? Yang Ming glanced at Zhou Jiejia and asked faintly. Ah. Zhou Jiejia was stunned. She thought that everyone was like this. This was specially arranged, but she didn't expect that only hers was like this. Just now, when I drew the lot, this lot was hidden in the interlayer of the lottery box. Yang Ming continued. Zhou Jiejia wasn't a fool. She was just a little silly when facing Yang Ming. When it came to other things, she was smarter than anyone, so it was easy to think of the truth of the matter. Chapter 393. You mean? Sui Guangqi. Zhou Jiejia frowned and whispered to Yang Ming. Probably. It's just a guess. There is no evidence. Although Yang Ming said so, in fact, his tone had already determined that this was done by Sui Guangqi. Sure enough. I had some doubts before. Zhou Jiejia hesitated and said. Before? What do you mean? You knew that this thing was made of glutinous rice paper? Yang Ming asked in surprise. No way, then why did she still play the safe kiss with me? I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the two little rascals before. Zhou Jiejia shook her head and said, you also saw it later. Since this resort is the property of Sui Guangqi's family, he came here to play. How could the senior management not receive the news in advance? Could they not take care of the people under them? Now, those two people actually dared to openly flirt with the guests when the young master of the Sui family came to play. Does this make sense? You mean, this matter was also instructed by Sui Guangqi? Yang Ming didn't expect Zhou Jiejia's thinking to be so meticulous. She could grasp these small details and integrate them. Although I'm not 100% sure, the possibility is very high. Zhou Jiejie nodded and continued, if Sui Guangqi didn't do it too pretentiously, maybe I would really think it was a coincidence. His previous trick of injuring himself to gain sympathy and the reinforcements after that seemed to make sense, but there was a big contradiction between them. As the young master here, he could get help with a phone call before the incident happened. Why did he take the initiative to get beaten up? Why did he have to call in front of these two people? With Sui Guangqi's IQ, he shouldn't make such a low-level mistake, right? So there is only one purpose for him to do this, and that is to act in front of me. Yang Ming listened to Zhou Jiejie's analysis and reasoning. He couldn't help but be moved. Damn, isn't this chick's IQ too high? She can even see through this. I thought she was stupid. It seems that I have to guard against her in the future. If she were to trick me, even my bones would be eaten by her. I can only stay away from her in the future. If Zhou Jiejie knew what Yang Ming was thinking now, she would cry to death. She didn't want to say this in front of Yang Ming because she knew that men generally didn't like women who were smarter than them. However, there were 3 reasons why Zhou Jiejie said these words. One reason was that the two of them talked about Sui Guangqi, and it was Yang Ming who mentioned it first, so Zhou Jiejie continued. The second reason was that Zhou Jiejie wanted Yang Ming to feel that she was not only a pretty face, but also had her own opinions. This would make Yang Ming value her more. The third reason was also the most important one. Zhou Jiejie wanted to express a meaning by exposing Sui Guangqi's means. That was, she was very popular with boys. Some even played tricks on her. Yang Ming, why do you always turn a blind eye to me? Don't you understand the principle of the pavilion closest to the water enjoys moonlight first? However, Yang Ming automatically ignored the third reason and only paid attention to the second reason. Moreover, he was thinking about something else. Ha, so Sui Guangqi likes you. Yang Ming was a bit puzzled. This Sui Guangqi's family condition isn't bad. Why does he like Zhou Jiejie, this little slut? Is it because of Zhou Jiejie's background? Or is it because Zhou Jiejie pretends to be a pure girl in front of others? Is everyone deceived? Zhou Jiejie was helpless. Her words were in vain. Why was Yang Ming not moved at all? Sui Guangqi's condition is very good. He is handsome and good at studying. I think he suits you very well. Yang Ming said casually. His current idea was to quickly send Zhou Jiejie out. After this chick found a boyfriend, she probably wouldn't have time to think about scheming against him. Then, he would be safe. Zhou Jiejie listened to Yang Ming's words. Her eyes widened and she was furious. She also felt wronged. What kind of person is this? He actually said this kind of thing. Zhou Jiejie's tears almost came out. She thought to herself, if I want to be with Sui Guangqi, do I still need you to say it? Are you really stupid, or are you pretending to be confused? You have kissed me twice, and I didn't say anything. Can't you see my intentions? You actually sent me to someone else. What am I? Am I a product? Yang Ming looked at Zhou Jiejie's weird look and didn't understand what was going on. So he continued, I'm telling the truth. Why are you looking at me like this? Sui Guangqi is really good. Yang Ming, I hate you. Zhou Jiejie couldn't help it. She threw the plastic wrap used for a safe kiss in front of Yang Ming's chest, turned around, and ran out of the door. It's so inexplicable. Yang Ming shook his head. I'm also being kind. Why is this chick throwing a tantrum? Forget it. If you don't like Sui Guangqi, then so be it. At most, I will continue to be entangled by you. I will always be vigilant. Zhou Jiejia's last sentence, I hate you, was a little louder. Many men and women who were passionately immersed in the kissing business were awakened. They looked up at Yang Ming in a panic. When they saw the broken plastic wrap in Yang Ming's hand, they immediately understood something in their hearts. This guy is a pervert. After breaking the plastic wrap, he wanted to kiss directly. As a result, Zhou Jiejie noticed it. They didn't expect that Yang Ming's hand was glutinous rice paper, so it was normal to have this idea. The few boys who did the same thing as Yang Ming were glad that their partner was open-minded. Not only did she not blame them, but she also cooperated enthusiastically. Who asked Yang Ming to meet Zhou Jiejie? Such a beautiful girl, it would be strange if you could take advantage of her. Those boys were still envious of Yang Ming's luck. He actually drew Zhou Jiejie as his partner, but now they weren't envious at all. That rose with thorns, it was better not to provoke her. Even Sui Guangqi was smiling. He was annoyed that Yang Ming drew the lot that he prepared for himself. Now he was glad, and he was a little gloating. Fortunately, it wasn't me. This time, the unlucky one is Yang Ming. I didn't expect Zhou Jiejie to be so conservative. She couldn't even kiss him. This is a blessing in disguise. Who knows if it will be a blessing in disguise? Sui Guangqi thought proudly. However, they all misunderstood. Zhou Jiejie wasn't angry because she was kissed by Yang Ming. She was angry because Yang Ming was indifferent to her efforts. After Zhou Jiejie made such a fuss, the people present naturally couldn't continue. However, there was still time at night. Those men and women who liked each other could find a place where no one was around to continue. Sui Guangqi looked at Dong Hunyu, who was full of lust, and sighed. Forget it. Anyway, isn't it the same if the lights are turned off? The game of safe kiss ended early, but the content of the party was not over yet. Sui Guangqi gave everyone a card. This card allowed them to play in all the entertainment venues of the Immortal Resort, such as the bowling alley, swimming pool, game hall, fitness center, billiard hall, etc. for free. Sui Guangqi instructed everyone and said, in a while, it will be free time for everyone. You can go to the entertainment venues listed on the card with your close friends. It is completely free. You can enter by swiping the card. However, at 11 o'clock, we will all come back here to gather. I will arrange for a waiter to issue room cards here. 2 people will get 1 card. You can come back early. There will always be people here. Of course, everyone agreed. The men and women who were partners just now were familiar with each other. No words were necessary. Kissing was the best communication. So, after these people received the cards, they left in pairs. Oh, yes, Yang Ming, you and Zhou Jiejie are partners. Her card is also given to you. Give it to her when you see her. Sui Guangqi handed 2 magnetic cards to Yang Ming. Originally, he was going to give it to Zhou Jiejie personally, but now Zhou Jiejie's mood was definitely not good. If he went, she wouldn't be nice to him. What's more, Dong Hunyu had been urging him. He had no choice but to give the card to Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't say anything. He took the card and turned to find Sun Haoming, but he didn't expect that this guy was hugging the girl he just hooked up with. It was the courtesan that Yang Ming saw before. Yang Ming, see you tonight. I'm going to play first. Sun Haoming greeted him and left. Yang Ming couldn't help but shake his head. Sun Haoming, the change is really too big. The person in my memory has now become blurred. Yang Ming sighed and walked out of the room alone. Chapter 394. In the distance, he saw Zhou Jiejie standing alone by the bonsai not far away. She was in a daze. He didn't know what she was thinking about. Was I really too much just now? But it's not too much to introduce a partner to someone, right? Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable. Damn, this chick is really difficult to deal with. If I didn't kiss Zhou Jiejie, Yang Ming wouldn't bother with her. Now that there was no way, Yang Ming had to walk over. Hearing the footsteps behind her, Zhou Jiejie immediately turned around. When she saw Yang Ming, she couldn't help but be stunned. Just now, Zhou Jiejie also figured it out. I shouldn't be angry with Yang Ming for no reason. Why does Yang Ming have to like me? I have hurt Yang Ming and Suya. It's good that Yang Ming didn't roll his eyes at me. Now that the results were already worth celebrating, why did he have to ask for so much? At least, now Yang Ming shouldn't hate me so much, right? As long as it is like this, isn't it? This is much better than Yang Ming's attitude towards me before. Therefore, Zhou Jiejie decided to take the initiative to apologize to Yang Ming. So when she saw Yang Ming coming over, she quickly said, Yang Ming, I was a little emotional just now. I'm sorry. And Yang Ming was stunned. Why did Zhou Jiejie take the initiative to apologize to me? This couldn't help but remind Yang Ming of another person. Wang Jitao. At that time, after Wang Jitao took the initiative to apologize to me, nothing good happened. Is Zhou Jiejie also thinking about harming me? Yang Ming widened his eyes and carefully observed Zhou Jiejie's expression. It was so sincere, without any hypocritical expression. Sigh. Yang Ming sighed and thought, forget it. Anyway, I am always on guard. Besides, the current Yang Ming is different from the past. I am not afraid that Zhou Jiejie will have any crooked thoughts. So she waved her hand and said, forget it, I won't give you any matchmaking in the future. You can like whoever you like, is that so? Zhou Jiejie rolled her eyes and said with a smile, then I like you. Whatever, as long as you like it. Yang Ming was afraid that Zhou Jiejie would flip out again, so he simply nodded. Besides, he simply didn't take it seriously. Zhou Jiejie had said that she liked him several times, but Yang Ming never felt that there was anything about him that attracted Zhou Jiejie, so he only took it as a joke. He didn't take it seriously at all. Hee hee. Zhou Jiejie giggled twice, somewhat at a loss. With Yang Ming's reply, Zhou Jiejie didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Why doesn't Yang Ming believe that I like him? However, the road of love was difficult. Zhou Jiejie had the confidence to continue. Right, this is the entertainment card that Sui Guangqife gave us. What do you want to play? Let's go together. Yang Ming was also helpless. He didn't know anyone around him. Sun Haoming was fooling around with the courtesan. Yang Ming was now familiar with Zhou Jiejie. Okay. Zhou Jiejie was very happy. Yang Ming took the initiative to invite her to play together. As for what to play, it didn't matter. As long as she was with Yang Ming, it was fine. Isn't there a good saying? When you go out to play, you don't care about what to play, but who to play with. Zhou Jiejie now felt this. Even if she stood stupidly with Yang Ming, she would feel very happy. Where are we going? Yang Ming handed the entertainment card to Zhou Jiejie and asked. Anything is fine. You can say it, said Zhou Jiejie. Then, go swimming, asked Yang Ming. To be honest, Yang Ming really didn't have any other dirty thoughts. He just felt that there were too many things recently. Soaking in the water could relieve the pressure. However, Zhou Jiejie's face was red. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. Yang Ming was a bit puzzled. What's wrong with you? But he suddenly thought about it. Could it be that Zhou Jiejie misunderstood that I wanted to see a beauty? So he had to quickly explain that I just want to go swimming. There is no other meaning, and I know, but actually. Zhou Jiejie's face was flushed. She clenched her teeth and said, I had that today. Ugh, ah. Yang Ming immediately understood what Zhou Jiejie was talking about. He was suddenly very embarrassed. Then forget it. Let's go to the game hall to play. In fact, the reason why Zhou Jiejie suddenly became angry with Yang Ming was also because of this reason. A woman. Every month, there were a few days when her temper wasn't very good. Zhou Jiejie just happened to catch up with this day, so she lost her temper with Yang Ming. Otherwise, Zhou Jiejie wasn't the kind of person who would easily lose her temper. Okay. Zhou Jiejie nodded. She obediently followed behind Yang Ming and walked elsewhere. Hey, buddy, let me ask you. Where is the game hall? Yang Ming patted the shoulder of a macho man in a security uniform in front of him. Turn left in front. Hey. When the macho man looked back and saw Yang Ming, he couldn't help but be surprised. Zhang Penbai. Yang Ming was also stunned. I didn't expect to meet him again so soon. I'm really sorry. I'll go first. You guys go and play. Zhang Penbai finished with some embarrassment and wanted to turn and leave. Wait. Yang Ming suddenly stopped him. Is there anything else? Asked Zhang Penbai. The matter just now, was it Sui Guangqi who instructed you to do it? Asked Yang Ming directly. What's the matter? What are you talking about? Zhang Penbai pretended not to understand and looked at Yang Ming in confusion. Don't tell me you've forgotten about the incident where your men flirted with my friend so quickly. Yang Ming said coldly. Kid, I gave you face just now. Don't think that I won't dare to do anything to you just because you're Master Sui's guest. Zhang Penbai saw that Yang Ming noticed something, so he quickly threatened and didn't let him continue. Really? Then I want to see if you have the ability. Yang Ming said indifferently, I'll ask you one last time. Yes or no? Yang Ming's fierce momentum made Zhang Penbai couldn't help but shudder. Zhang Penbai couldn't believe it. How old is Yang Ming? But the murderous aura on his body made him a little scared. I don't like to be played like a fool. You guys directed a show, and you want me to foolishly save the damsel in distress. Is it fun? Yang Ming said with a sneer. Yes, Yang Ming was very angry. At that time, I couldn't stand it, so I made a move, but I didn't expect that this was just a play. Even if I didn't make a move, the two little punks wouldn't dare to do anything to Zhou Jiejie. Then, wouldn't I be doing something unnecessary? Yang Ming felt like he was playing a monkey, and he was very uncomfortable. Zhang Penbai was annoyed. Who asked you to be a busybody? No one asked you to do anything in the first place. You were the one who wanted to stand up. Not only did you ruin Sui Guangqi's good thing, but you blame me instead. You can think whatever you want. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Zhang Penbai didn't answer and turned to leave. Do I ask Bao Sanli to call you so that you will tell the truth? Yang Ming saw that Zhang Penbai didn't fall for it, so he had to threaten him with Bao Sanli. As for whether it would work, Yang Ming wasn't sure. After all, this wasn't Songjiang City. Yang Ming asked this because he was unhappy and wanted to vent. However, after Zhang Penbai heard the name of Bao Sanli, his whole body trembled and he quickly turned around. Do you know Brother Bao? Zhang Penbai asked carefully. Do you need me to make a call to prove it? Yang Ming glared at him and was about to take out his cell phone. No need, no need. Zhang Penbai shook his head quickly. If Yang Ming really called Bao Sanli, then things would be big. Therefore, Zhang Penbai would rather believe it than not. Besides, only the ruthless people in the underworld knew Bao Sanli's full name. It was already good enough for the general punks to know Brother Bao. Now, who in the underground forces near Songjiang didn't know Bao Sanli? These bosses in the border counties had also received invitations to attend Bao Sanli's banquet on New Year's Day. They couldn't wait to curry favor. Who would provoke Bao Sanli? Now, Zhang Penbai was doing well in the Sui family's territory, but it didn't mean that he was loyal to the Sui family. At most, he would quit and change to another territory. There was no loss to him. But if he angered Bao Sanli, the consequences would be serious. So after weighing the pros and cons, Zhang Penbai nodded. Yes, Sui Guangqi arranged it in advance. Yang Ming nodded. He just wanted a definite answer. Sui Guangqi, Yang Ming remembered. Chapter 395. You should go. Don't tell anyone about meeting me. Yang Ming instructed. I know. The New Year's party. Zhang Penbai nodded quickly. And the one on the 3rd. Brother Bao told me that I might go. Yang Ming said. Then, can you introduce me to Brother Bao? Zhang Penbai said carefully. Let's talk about it when the time comes. Yang Ming said perfunctorily. The reason why Yang Ming asked Zhang Penbai was that he didn't want to be played like a fool. However, Zhou Jiejia misunderstood. She thought that Yang Ming stood up for her. After listening to Yang Ming questioning Zhang Penbai, Zhou Jiejia's heart was as sweet as eating honey. Although this Sui Guangqi had bad intentions toward Zhou Jiejia, he didn't directly threaten Yang Ming's interests, so Yang Ming didn't care about him for the time being. Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejia came to the game hall. They exchanged 20 game coins for free with the card. After using it up, they could continue to receive more. There was no limit to the number. What do you like to play? Asked Yang Ming. I don't play this often. I don't know how to. Although Zhou Jiejia was a computer genius, she rarely played games. Then you play something like Find a Fault. This can be played by 2 people. Yang Ming was a little tired of these arcade games when he was in junior high school. Now, there were no new games, so it was still the same old things. Yang Ming simply found a casual game. He briefly explained the rules of the game to Zhou Jiejia, and the 2 people started to play. Yang Ming's current eyesight was amazing, but he didn't want to compete with a girl. So, in many cases, Zhou Jiejia was the first to find a fault. When the time was almost up, he would start. In this way, Zhou Jiejia had a lot of fun. She played this kind of thing for the first time. It was very fresh. She was with Yang Ming, so the 2 people were like a couple. They cooperated very well. Yang Ming was completely coaxing Zhou Jiejia. Although Yang Ming felt that he should be wary of Zhou Jiejia, they had been together for a long time. They were familiar with each other. Yang Ming naturally regarded her as a good friend. After playing a few rounds, Yang Ming was a little bored. However, seeing that Zhou Jiejia was having fun, Yang Ming also patiently accompanied her. If he had known that this class reunion would be so boring, he wouldn't have come. After playing until 10 o'clock, Yang Ming looked at his watch and said to Zhou Jiejia, "It's almost time. I said that we should go back at 11 o'clock to collect the room cards." "Oh, okay." Zhou Jiejia nodded and stood up reluctantly. The feeling of playing games with Yang Ming was very enjoyable. Zhou Jiejia couldn't bear to leave. Because Yang Ming's eyesight was invincible, he could always pass the last critical moment smoothly. Therefore, the 2 people used a total of 1 game coin. They went to the bar to return the rest of the game coins. Then, the two people returned to the room where they played the safe kiss. After Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejiu left, the waiter in the game hall couldn't help but praise the person next to him. Look at this couple. They cooperated so well. They only used one game coin in such a long time. And it's a ruthless person. Another waiter nodded and said. Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejiu came to the previous room. They thought that there should be a lot of people, but they found that they didn't know anyone. Only the waiter sat on the sofa alone. And where are the people? Aren't we gathering? Yang Ming asked, puzzled. Oh. You are back. We were waiting for you. When the waiter saw Yang Ming, his face immediately showed a relaxed expression. Only the two of you are left. The others have received their room cards. After I hand them over to you, I can get off work. No way. These people are so fast. Yang Ming shook his head. And many people have already received their keys. The latest pair was an hour before you two came back, said the waiter. Pair? What pair? Yang Ming was a bit puzzled. This person still talks about pair? A man and a woman. A couple. Why? Is there anything wrong? The waiter was puzzled by Yang Ming's question. Aren't you a couple? Of course not. Yang Ming said with some embarrassment. Zhou Jiejia's face was also slightly red, but she didn't deny it. It's none of my business. I'm just a waiter. It has nothing to do with me. The waiter stood up and handed a room card to Yang Ming and said, the room card is given to you. I'm off work. Wait. Yang Ming took the room card and suddenly felt that something was wrong. He quickly stopped the waiter and asked, why is there only one? Yes, there is only one. The waiter nodded and said. What about her? Yang Ming pointed to Zhou Jiejiu and asked. Her. You two are staying in a room. Didn't we agree before? Two people in a room, voluntary combination. The waiter said. Damn. Yang Ming said, is it possible that there was a man and a woman mixed before? The reason why Yang Ming asked this was because the number of men and women was equal. If there was only one room left, then there must be someone mixed before. It's really lascivious. Most of them live like this. Is there anything strange? The waiter was obviously used to it. It's okay, you can go. Yang Ming waved his hand helplessly. What kind of world is this? These adulterers, how did they get together so quickly? Is it okay to stay in a room? Yang Ming raised the room card and asked Zhou Jiejiu. No, nothing. Zhou Jiejiu replied with a stutter. Oh. If it's not convenient, I will go to the main service desk and get another room. Yang Ming thought that Zhou Jiejiu was unwilling, so he said this. No. Let's just stay like this. Zhou Jiejiu was a little incoherent. She wasn't unwilling, she was excited. Forget it. If it's not convenient for you, just tell me. I will go out for a few laps. Yang Ming shook his head and said. Yang Ming was afraid that Zhou Jiejiu would take a shower and change clothes, but after thinking about it, Zhou Jiejiu was on her period today. It was impossible for her to take a shower, so he was relieved. Anyway, both of them couldn't take off their clothes at night, so they just had to rest for a while. Thinking of this, Yang Ming took Zhou Jiejiu to the guest room area upstairs and found the room number marked on the room card. When he opened the door, Yang Ming couldn't help but be stunned. In the room, there was only one big bed. What kind of room is this? What is going on? This is clearly a couple's room. What's wrong? Zhou Jie behind him didn't react, but when she took a step forward, she also saw the scene in the room. Zhou Jie suddenly blushed. When she thought that she could lie on the same bed with Yang Ming, she couldn't help but be shy and look forward to it. Yang Ming frowned and said to Zhou Jie, "Let's do this. I will go to the waiter and see if I can get another room." After Yang Ming finished, he didn't wait for Zhou Jie to say anything and turned away. Zhou Jie wanted to ask Yang Ming not to go, but when the words came to her mouth, she couldn't say it. Although Yang Ming and Zhou Jie were now familiar with each other, they weren't familiar enough to sleep in the same bed. Although Yang Ming was a bit lecherous, he wasn't lecherous to this extent. Intuition told him that it was better not to have a close relationship with a girl like Zhou Jie. Otherwise, it would be easy to have problems. Although Yang Ming felt that Zhou Jie was a little slut, if he asked for something, she probably wouldn't refuse. No, it seems that something is wrong. With the frequent contact with Zhou Jie, Yang Ming didn't feel that Zhou Jie had the temperament of a little slut. She wasn't even a slut. On the contrary, Zhou Jie looked very pure. For example, the previous flirting and the shakiness of the kiss. This made Yang Ming feel that Zhou Jie was completely a young girl. But the previous video, Yang Ming saw it with his own eyes. It shouldn't be fake. Could it be that I have encountered the legendary dual personality? Split personality. Isn't this too outrageous? Thinking of this, Yang Ming fell into contemplation. Yes, according to Yang Ming's feeling, Zhou Jie was very smart and self-respecting. She couldn't be stupid enough to video chat with others naked, right? Did I see it wrong? With this idea, Yang Ming decided to look at the video carefully after going home. It wouldn't be good to blame others wrongly. Yang Ming came to the service desk and explained the purpose of his visit to the waiter, but unfortunately, the waiter checked the computer and told Yang Ming that the rooms were full now. Those who hadn't checked in were also booked. It was impossible to change rooms or get another room. Helplessly, Yang Ming could only walk back to the room in depression. He shrugged and said to Zhou Jie, "It didn't work. There are no vacant rooms. Just put up with it. I will sit on the sofa for the night." Chapter 396. N. Zhou Jie nodded. There was a strange feeling in her heart. She didn't know if it was joy or shyness. In short, it made her unspeakably nervous. Yang Ming didn't care about her. He sat on the sofa and said to Zhou Jie, "You sleep on the bed. I will sleep on the sofa." Okay. Zhou Jie nodded, but when she saw Yang Ming sitting on the sofa, she said with some embarrassment, "Why don't you come to the bed too?" "It's okay, forget it. You haven't married yet. It's not good to let people know. It will damage your reputation." Yang Ming was a little tired. He wanted to take a nap, so he just said perfunctorily to Zhou Jie. "Ugh." Zhou Jie was speechless. Damage my reputation. I have been kissed twice. What reputation do I need? Besides, we are staying in the same room. Why should I be afraid of what others say? Of course, these weren't the key. In this era, how could it be as conservative as Yang Ming said? Zhou Jie had decided to follow Yang Ming wholeheartedly. Why should she care so much? Zhou Jie saw that Yang Ming didn't have that intention, so she no longer insisted. She lay quietly on the bed. No one knew what she was thinking. After a while, Zhou Jie felt particularly uncomfortable under her body. Zhou Jie's period had been very unstable. Every month, it was either a few days earlier or a few days later. It was reasonable to say that today was a few days away from the predicted date, but it came at the last minute. When it came, it happened to be eating just now. Zhou Jiejia's underwear was all over. Even if she patted the sanitary napkin later, it was still very uncomfortable. Zhou Jiejia was still a girl who liked cleanliness, so she hesitated and decided to get up and go to the bathroom to wash. When she came to the bathroom, Zhou Jiejia hesitated and didn't lock the door. First, she believed that Yang Ming wouldn't peep. Second, even if he peeped, Zhou Jiejia would be more happy that she was attractive to Yang Ming. Zhou Jiejia took off her clothes and put them aside neatly. Then she soaked her underwear in the wash basin and prepared to simply wash her body. The resort's bathing facilities were still relatively high-end. There was a separate bathroom. Although it was a relatively cheap engineered bathroom, it was still considered good compared to some hotels. Zhou Jiejia turned on the shower head and tested the water temperature with her hand. It was okay, so she went in to take a bath. However, just as Zhou Jiejia was about to finish showering, something unlucky happened. Perhaps because the nozzle had aged for a long time, when Zhou Jiejia put it back in its fixed position, she used a little more force. As a result, the connection between the end of the nozzle and the cold water pipe broke with a click. The cold water inside instantly sprayed out, causing Zhou Jiejia to stagger. She slipped and sat in the bathroom. The cold water kept splashing on Zhou Jiejia's body. It was winter, and the water was frighteningly cold. Zhou Jiejia screamed and tried to stand up, but she didn't expect that the pressure of the cold water was so great that it didn't allow her to stand up at all. Ah! Help! Zhou Jiejia was really scared this time. She quickly shouted. If this continues, I will freeze into a popsicle sooner or later. Yang Ming was about to fall asleep in a daze when he suddenly heard a scream. He was shocked and opened his eyes. He didn't see Zhou Jiejia in the room, and there was the sound of water in the bathroom. He couldn't help but feel a little strange and quickly walked over there. Zhou Jiejia! Yang Ming shouted. Yang Ming, help me! Zhou Jiejia felt that her teeth were trembling. This water is too cold. If this continues, I will freeze to death. Yang Ming frowned and pushed the door of the bathroom. He found that it wasn't locked. He didn't think much and went straight in. Ha! Yang Ming was a little dumbfounded. Although the entire bathroom was full of cold water, Zhou Jiejia was sitting in it naked. Yang Ming could still see it. Yang Ming hesitated. Although he didn't understand what was going on in front of him, it was obvious that Zhou Jiejia didn't know how she did it. She turned the bathroom into a fountain. However, if he went in now, would it be good? Zhou Jiejia wasn't wearing clothes. If he went in, wouldn't he see everything? Yang Ming. Zhou Jiejia saw Yang Ming hesitating and shouted again. She used all her strength. She felt that she was going to freeze to death. Yang Ming sighed. He thought, anyway, I have seen her video. It's not a big deal to see her in person. He quickly walked to the front of the bathroom and opened the bathroom door. The cold water inside suddenly sprayed all over Yang Ming's body. Yang Ming couldn't help but shiver. He quickly found the tap to turn off the water. Zhou Jiejia quickly said, It's broken. It's broken. Help me out. Yang Ming saw that the water pipe at the end of the nozzle had broken. How the fuck can I encounter all kinds of unlucky things? Yang Ming was helpless. He reached out and picked up Zhou Jiejia. This chick must be freezing, right? In just a while, Yang Ming felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar, not to mention Zhou Jiejia who had been in it for so long. Yang Ming didn't care about the fact that Zhou Jiejia wasn't wearing clothes. He quickly carried her to the bed, then found a bath towel and handed it to her. However, Zhou Jiejia was obviously frozen and had lost the ability to move by herself. Seeing Zhou Jiejia struggling to reach out, Yang Ming had to sigh helplessly. He picked up the bath towel and helped Zhou Jijia wipe her whole body. On Zhou Jijia's white skin, there was a layer of goosebumps caused by the cold. Yang Ming couldn't help but take a few more glances. However, thinking that Zhou Jijia was in pain, Yang Ming didn't have the mood to think about other things. He quickly dried Zhou Jijia's body. He didn't care about the places that he shouldn't touch. In short, he wiped her whole body. After he was done, Yang Ming covered Zhou Jijia with a quilt and asked, "How is it? Are you okay?" Zhou Jijia shook her head in the room. There was a hint of joy on her pale face. "Thank you." "Yang Ming, what are you thanking me for?" "But, I just saw you, you don't mind, right?" Yang Ming didn't know what to say. "You are saving me. Why should I mind?" Zhou Jijia smiled and said, "I'm so cold, Yang Ming. Can you hug me for a while?" "What did you say?" Yang Ming looked at Zhou Jijia with some amazement, thinking that there was something wrong with his hearing. "No, nothing." Zhou Jijia sighed and didn't have the courage to say the same thing again. "You rest first. I'm going to wipe my body." Although there was nothing on Yang Ming's body, his whole head was like a drowned rat, dripping water. Yang Ming wiped his body with a bath towel and went to the bathroom. "Motherfucker, this isn't a problem, right? What kind of shit resort is this?" Yang Ming even scolded the young master of the resort, Sui Guangqi. "This kid is really my bane. Nothing good happens when I meet him." Yang Ming reached out and closed the bathroom door. Then, he went out to find the waiter to solve the problem. The waiter listened to Yang Ming's words and first apologized. Then, he looked for the maintenance worker with a very good attitude. It made it difficult for Yang Ming to vent his anger. Looking at the maintenance worker changing a new part quickly, Yang Ming thought, "Is this thing broken often? Otherwise, how can it be operated so skillfully?" After all this, Yang Ming remembered that most of the clothes that Zhou Jijia put in the bathroom were wet. His own coat was also wet, so he called the waiter and asked him how to deal with it. The waiter was easy to talk to. After apologizing, he promised to take it to Yang Ming for free to dry clean. He would definitely send it over tomorrow morning. Therefore, Yang Ming handed the clothes to the waiter. His eyes glanced and found Zhou Jijia's underwear soaking in the wash basin. He hesitated and didn't give it to the waiter. The reason why Yang Ming didn't give it to the waiter was that he felt a little embarrassed. But he wouldn't be kind enough to wash Zhou Jijia's underwear. This woman wasn't worth Yang Ming doing this for her. Yang Ming checked the phone book at the head of the bed and directly called the store below the resort. He asked them to send a pair of women's underwear and a pack of cold medicine. After so long, Zhou Jijia had obviously recovered a lot. When she heard Yang Ming's words, she couldn't help but blush. "My underwear," Yang Ming must have seen it. Underwear. When she thought of underwear, Zhou Jijia suddenly screamed, "Aw!" Yang Ming hung up the phone and was shocked by Zhou Jijia's scream. He looked back at Zhou Jijia strangely. "What happened to you?" "The sheets, that must have been stained with blood," Zhou Jijia said anxiously. Yang Ming was stunned and then reacted. Zhou Jijia was on her period. "I carried her directly to the bed. There was no cushion below, so it must have been stained on the sheets." Chapter 397. Yang Ming said indifferently, "Who cares? It's good enough that I didn't ask them for compensation for mental damage. Why do I care about their bedsheets? No, that I..." Zhou Jijia meant that it was so embarrassing, but she thought that Yang Ming knew about her matter, so she didn't want to think about other things. "Well, take a break. I asked for cold medicine." Don't catch a cold. Yang Ming sighed and realized that he was too good to Zhou Zhejia. AI, forget it. Who asked me to be good to her? After a while, there was a knock on the door. Yang Ming opened the door and saw that the things he ordered were delivered. Hello, sir. I'm from the resort's commercial service. This is the underwear and cold medicine you asked for. A male waiter opened his backpack and took out the things inside. There are two kinds of underwear. One is pure cotton with good quality, and the other is ordinary. Which one do you want? The good one. Yang Ming thought, no matter how bad my impression of Zhou Zhejia is, I won't buy her trash underwear to fool her. Okay, sir. Also, we provide condoms and emergency contraceptive pills here. Do you want to keep them? The waiter continued to promote. Yang Ming sweated. What do I need those for? Ugh. What about Viagra? You need Viagra, right? The waiter didn't give up and continued to promote. Yang Ming was angry when he heard it. Damn, do you think I'm impotent? Sorry. Sorry to bother you. It's a total of 56 yuan. I'll charge you 50. The waiter didn't dare to say more. Yang Ming took out a 50 yuan bill from his pocket and handed it over. Then, he closed the door with a blank expression. Zhou Zhejia, who was in the room, heard the conversation at the door clearly. When she heard the words, condoms, and emergency contraceptive pills, her face seemed to have a fever. However, she also knew that Yang Ming would not buy it. Thinking of this, Zhou Zhejia couldn't help but sigh slightly. Yang Ming, when will he use these things with me? Seeing that Yang Ming came over, Zhou Zhejia quickly pretended to be fine and whispered, Who is it? Is he here to deliver the medicine? Yang Ming nodded. He picked up the thermos on the table and looked at it. It was hot water, so he poured a cup for Zhou Zhejia and handed it over. Take some medicine first. Don't catch a cold. And, thank you. Zhou Zhejia was very moved now. When she was sick, Yang Ming was by her side. This was something that she didn't even dare to dream. Yang Ming took Zhou Zhejia's empty cup and put it on the coffee table. This is your underwear. Find a chance to change it later. Yang Ming gave the underwear to Zhou Zhejia and said, Do you want me to go out and hide? No need. Zhou Zhejia flattened her mouth and looked very wronged. I have seen everything just now. What is there to hide? Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. Wasn't it an emergency just now? Why don't you open the quilt now and let me see again? However, Yang Ming couldn't say this. Besides, if Yang Ming wanted to peek, would he need to open the quilt? You should take some medicine too. Zhou Zhejia handed the cold medicine to Yang Ming. The water is too cold. It is easy to get sick if you are suddenly stimulated. Yang Ming thought about it and felt that it was true. At the end of the year, there were more things. If he caught a cold, it wouldn't be fun. So he nodded and took the cold medicine. He took out a piece and picked up the cup on the coffee table. He hesitated a little. He wanted to go to the bathroom to wash it because this was the cup that Zhou Zhejia used after all. But after thinking about it, I have kissed Zhou Zhejia. Why do I care about these small details? So he directly picked up the cup and took the medicine. Zhou Zhejia was very attentive. Naturally, she saw Yang Ming's hesitation. However, Yang Ming could use the cup she used and drink the rest of her water. This made Zhou Zhejia happy for no reason. Well, you should have a good rest. Especially in this sensitive period, you caught a cold. Don't get sick. Yang Ming instructed Zhou Zhejia and sat on the sofa to rest. Zhou Jiejie wanted to ask Yang Ming to come to the bed several times, but when she remembered that she wasn't wearing clothes and that her lower body was covered with blood, she dismissed the idea. She was drowsy and blissful. Zhou Jiejie fell asleep. It was reasonable to say that it was impossible for a man and a woman who were not a couple to sleep in the same room. However, Zhou Jiejie slept very peacefully because the person next to her was Yang Ming. At 6:00 the next morning, the waiter sent the washed clothes. Yang Ming took it and checked the number of pieces. After finding that there were no problems, he put the clothes on the bed and then went to the bathroom to wash up. Not long after, Zhou Jiejie also woke up. Although she had nothing to hide from Yang Ming, the girl's instinctive shyness still made Zhou Jiejie somewhat unable to get rid of it. While Yang Ming was in the bathroom, she quickly put on her underwear and bra. Then, she slowly put on the other clothes. When Yang Ming came out of the bathroom, Zhou Jiejie had already put on her clothes. Today's Zhou Jiejie obviously looked good. She didn't look as weak as yesterday. In fact, the cold medicine played a certain role, but the most important thing was Zhou Jiejie's mentality. Zhou Jiejie was in a good mood last night. Naturally, she slept well, so she was full of energy. You also go and wash up. Yang Ming said, it is estimated that we will have breakfast in a while. Okay. Zhou Jiejie nodded cleverly and then went to the bathroom. Yang Ming took advantage of the time when Zhou Jiejie went to the bathroom and lay on the bed. Yesterday's sleep was really uncomfortable. I should take advantage of this time to relax. After lying down and enjoying it for a while, there was a knock on the door. Yang Ming had no choice but to get up and open the door. He thought it was the waiter who cleaned the room, but he didn't expect it to be Sun Haoming. Beside him stood the courtesan. Yang Ming, go and have breakfast. Sun Haoming said with a smile. Okay, wait a minute. Yang Ming said, Zhou Jiejie is still washing up. Come in and sit for a while. Right, how did you find my room? Didn't you register with the waiter who gave you the room card yesterday? I will naturally know when I make a call. Sun Haoming said indifferently, buddy, did you have a good time last night? Speaking of last night, Yang Ming was angry. Motherfucker, I became a drowned rat without any reason. He said somewhat dumbfounded, what's so good about it? What are you thinking? Ugh, isn't it? Sun Haoming said as his eyes began to look at Yang Ming's room. Suddenly, his eyes stopped on the bed and looked at the large blood stains on the bed sheet. He looked at Yang Ming with surprise. Damn. It can't be. A virgin. Okay, you kid. It's not like that. Yang Ming was somewhat helpless. He couldn't tell him that Zhou Jiejie had her period. Awesome. What an awesome person. The first time, and it was a big loss of blood. Sun Haoming gave a thumbs up in admiration. Sun Haoming, it's not what you think. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. Don't make wild guesses. Hee, I understand. I understand. Is it a woman's first time? Her face is small and shy. I won't say it. Sun Haoming said with a lascivious look. At this time, Zhou Jiejie just came out of the bathroom and saw Sun Haoming looking at the blood stains on the bed. She couldn't help but blush. As for Sun Haoming, looking at Zhou Jiejie's shy expression, he confirmed the thoughts in his heart. He sighed that Yang Ming had a way. He's really an awesome person. The two class bells of the entire class were taken care of by him. Of course, the other one was Suya. At that time, Suya and Zhou Jiejie were the top beauties in the class and even in the entire school. Zhou Jiejie, Sun Haoming asked us to have breakfast together. Yang Ming said. Oh. Zhou Jiejie nodded and stood next to Yang Ming like a little wife. Sun Haoming was envious. Why can't I meet such a beautiful girl? The courtesan beside me is obviously a one-night stand. She doesn't take me seriously. The four people walked downstairs to the restaurant. In the corridor, they met many other students. However, there weren't many men and women coming out of the room together. Most of them were two men or two women. It wasn't as lascivious as what the waiter said yesterday. This guy actually dared to trick me. As a matter of fact, the waiter's job was to speak human language. When he saw that Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejia came together, he naturally had to say that. Uncle Ma nodded with a smile and said, "What are you doing in school? Are you here to see me?" "Hee, I'm here to see you." Yang Ming smiled and said, "Right, which class is Wu Qiren teaching now?" "Wu Qiren." Uncle Ma rolled his eyes and said with some disdain, "Are you here to see him?" "What's wrong?" "I want to ask him something." Yang Ming looked at Uncle Ma's expression and asked curiously. That kid, I already knew he wasn't a good person. He was so sneaky." Finally, something happened. Uncle Ma sneered. "Something happened? What do you mean?" Yang Ming asked quickly. Wu Qiren asked for bribes from students' parents. He was reported. Uncle Ma said, last year, the Education Bureau dealt with him and expelled him. Expelled? Yang Ming was dumbfounded. He didn't care about Wu Qiren. The most important thing now was to find Wu Qiren and ask him about Suya's letter. And, he was expelled a long time ago. Uncle Ma said. Yang Ming sighed helplessly and then asked, "Then, Uncle Ma, do you know where Wu Qiren went after he was expelled?" "How would I know?" Uncle Ma shook his head and said, "I heard that he went to Donghai to do business." "Who knows?" Wait a minute." Uncle Ma suddenly waved to a teacher not far away. "Little Zhang, you live in the same neighborhood as Wu Qiren, right?" "Uncle Ma, you're calling me?" Teacher Little Zhang turned around and said, "Yes, I used to live in the same neighborhood as him, but he moved away." "Where did he move to?" "One of his former students is looking for him." Uncle Ma said. "I don't know. He doesn't have a wife or children. He's all by himself. Who knows? But I heard that he's doing business in Donghai." Teacher Little Zhang said. "Oh, I know. You can go." Uncle Ma waved his hand and said. Yang Ming didn't know what to do. Why did this Wu Qiren go to Donghai? It seems that it won't be easy to find him. You see, the teachers in the school actually hate Wu Qiren. They think that this guy is the scum of the teaching team. They don't want to interact with him. Even little Zhang, who lives in the same neighborhood as him, doesn't know. Don't even think of getting anything out of him. Uncle Ma shook his head and said. "Well, no matter what, thank you, Uncle Ma." Yang Ming nodded and said helplessly. "Oh yeah, Yang Ming, why are you looking for Wu Qiren? I remember that he didn't get along with you. He even forced your girlfriend to transfer schools." Uncle Ma was very clear about Yang Ming's past. "I'm looking for him because of this. He kept all the letters that Suya had written to me back then. If I didn't attend the class reunion and know about this, would still be in the dark." Yang Ming said angrily, "I'm looking for him to get those letters." "So that's the case. Then I can't help you." Uncle Ma sighed and said, "I didn't expect you to be so infatuated with that little girlfriend. But even if you find Wu Qiren, he might have thrown those letters away as trash." In fact, Yang Ming also thought of the situation that Uncle Ma mentioned. Who could keep a few letters that had nothing to do with him? But although Yang Ming knew that the chances weren't high, he would continue to pursue as long as there was a glimmer of hope. Because, now, there were only these clues. Yang Ming wouldn't give up easily. Thank you, Uncle Ma. Yes, wait for me. Yang Ming suddenly remembered that there were still 2 bottles of white wine in the trunk of the car. He found them when he checked the trunk that day. They weren't famous wines, but Yang Ming knew that Uncle Ma liked wine. Yang Ming took out the 2 bottles of white wine in the trunk of the car and gave them to Uncle Ma. Uncle Ma, you can drink these 2 bottles of wine. Others gave them to me. I don't need them. Ha! You kid, you still remember that I like to drink. Then I won't be polite. Uncle Ma wasn't vague. His eyes lit up when he saw the wine. After bidding farewell to Uncle Ma, Yang Ming frowned. Now, it was imperative to find Wu Qiren. However, now that Wu Qiren went to Donghai to do business, it was much more difficult to find him. Although Donghai wasn't far from Songjiang, it wasn't easy to find a person in a city. Yang Ming suddenly thought of a person, Sun Jia. Isn't her family in Donghai? Moreover, it seems that her family has quite a lot of power in Donghai. In fact, Yang Ming first thought of Tian Donghua, but he didn't know why. Comparing him with Sun Jia, Yang Ming was still more inclined to find Sun Jia. That passion left a deep impression on Yang Ming. It made Yang Ming feel a little itchy. When he went to Hong Kong last time, the perfume that he brought back for Sun Jia hadn't been sent yet. Thinking of this, Yang Ming quickly drove back home and took the gift for Sun Jia. Of course, he also sent the mink coat that he bought for his mother back. Big Ming, what I told you, did you take it to heart? Yang Ming had just entered the house when he was stopped by his mother. After his mother lost her job, she was idle at home. Although she couldn't stay idle, Yang Ming still let her rest at home for a while. If he opened a company, he hoped that she could participate. What's the matter? Yang Ming was stunned. Is it about the company? Uncle Zhang is planning it. What company? I'm talking about Qin Mengyan. There is still a month until Chinese New Year. When are you going to bring my future daughter-in-law back? I have already prepared the red packet. Mother Yang said with a stare. Ah. Mom, you are talking about Qin Mengyan. You can rest assured. I will bring her back to you in a few days on New Year's Day. Yang Ming suddenly realized. I have already talked to her. Really? Mother Yang asked with some suspicion. Every time this issue was mentioned before, Yang Ming always covered it up. He wouldn't say it if he could. Why was he so proactive today? Sun Jia saw that Yang Ming didn't say anything, so she didn't ask anymore. After hanging up the phone, Yang Ming drove back to school. Before he took 2 steps, he heard the special horn of the police vehicle behind him. Then someone shouted, "Hey! The jet in front, the license plate is Song BXXXXX, stop by the side." The jet in front, the license plate is Song BXXXXX, stop by the side immediately. Xia Shue's voice. It's definitely that woman, Xia Shue. Yang Ming was about to go crazy. Who did I provoke? Why does this Xia Shui always find trouble with me? Yang Ming was helpless. He didn't dare to not stop. He had a deep understanding of Xia Shui, this violent girl. She was a master who would shoot at any time. No matter how badass Yang Ming was, he couldn't provoke her. Yang Ming parked the car on the side of the road, and the police car behind stopped by the side. Sure enough, Xia Shui jumped out of the car. She proudly knocked on Yang Ming's car window. Yang Ming. You come down. Ha! Yang Ming was a little overwhelmed. He opened the door and looked at Xia Shui. You know it's me, but you still want me to stop? Nonsense, I don't have the time for other people. Do you think I'm a traffic police? Xia Shui said in a bad mood. Since you're not a traffic police, why did you stop me? Yang Ming was helpless. Are you deliberately looking for trouble? Who stopped you? I just asked you to stop by the side. Xia Shui argued. Isn't it the same? Is there a difference? Yang Ming rolled his eyes. Of course, there is a difference. Can attempted murder be the same as murder? A difference of 2 words can make a big difference. Xia Shui said with conviction. I'm not going to argue with you. Yang Ming was helpless. Big sister, why are you looking for me? I'm looking for you. Did you forget something? Xia Shui glared at Yang Ming with an angry look. Me? What did I forget? Yang Ming frowned. Nothing, right? Yang Ming. Where's my meal? Xia Shui gritted her teeth and said, last time, you said you would treat me to a meal. Why haven't I been waiting for almost half a month? Ugh. Yang Ming scratched his head. I really forgot about this. He couldn't help but sweat. That. Xia Shui, why don't we go eat now? Yang Ming had been busy for the whole morning. He hadn't eaten yet. He could just treat Xia Shui to a meal. You're not being sincere. Xia Shui snorted. I'm on duty. You want me to eat with you? Then, you tell me when. Yang Ming shrugged. I will be waiting for you. Humph, you're sensible. Tomorrow night. Xia Shui thought about it and said, I still have something to ask you. Don't. I'm a timid person. If you have something to ask me now. Yang Ming pretended to be scared and looked at Xia Shui. The things you ask are never good. Humph, don't be silly. Tomorrow night, wait for me at the entrance of the police station. Xia Shui said, I'm on duty. After that, she turned back to the police car and left. Yang Ming smiled bitterly and started the car. To be honest, he really forgot to treat Xia Shui to a meal. It seems that I have to remember tomorrow. Otherwise, if I provoke this violent girl, it won't end well. Yang Ming set the notification of treating Xia Shui to a meal tomorrow night in his mobile phone. Then, he returned to school with peace of mind. He called Chen Mengyan and told her that he was safe. Then, he told her that he had already discussed with his mother about visiting his house on New Year's Day. Chen Mengyan was surprised and happy when she heard it. Then, should I tell my parents about us? Chen Mengyan consulted Yang Ming's opinion. This, you decide for yourself. If you feel that the time is right, you can tell them. Yang Ming said. Well, then I will tell them. You can't abandon me in the future, right? Chen Mengyan said jokingly, then, I will be ashamed in the future. Although Chen Mengyan asked casually, she was still very nervous in her heart. She wanted to get a positive answer from Yang Ming. Of course, I can't abandon you. Yang Ming said with a smile, even if I don't want you, my mom won't agree. Hee hee. Chen Mengyan smiled happily. Just in time. I will go home tomorrow night to discuss something with my parents. I will tell them about us. Okay, if you need me to visit, just say it. Yang Ming smiled. Humph. You have such a big face. My parents haven't said that they want to recognize you as their son-in-law. Chen Mengyan said with some pride. Hee hee, if they don't recognize you, you have to fight with them. Yang Ming smiled. I won't talk to you anymore. You're not serious. Chen Mengyan said, I have to go to class. You go back to the dormitory to rest. Yesterday's party was very tiring. Yeah, I almost didn't sleep. I will go back to sleep first. Yang Ming said, let's have dinner together tonight. You come downstairs and wait for me," Chen Mengyan promised. As for Xia Shui's matter, Yang Ming originally wanted to talk to Chen Mengyan, but he thought that Chen Mengyan was a little vinegar jar, so he let it go. Anyway, there was nothing between him and Xia Shui. They were just ordinary friends who had a meal together. After hanging up the phone, Yang Ming opened the computer notebook in the dormitory and prepared to study Zhou Jiejia's video. Through Yang Ming's contact with Zhou Jiejia, he didn't see anything lewd about her. The more it was like this, the more curious Yang Ming was. Therefore, Yang Ming wanted to study the video that was saved. Now, Yang Ming's impression of the video wasn't very deep. He wasn't sure if the person in the video was Zhou Jiejia. Chapter 400. Yang Ming logged into the foreign mailboxes and downloaded the compressed files one by one. Then, he entered the decompression password and decompressed the video. After it was done, Yang Ming dragged the video to the player and clicked the play button. A woman's white body appeared in front of Yang Ming. Although it wasn't very clear, he could still see it. However, after Yang Ming looked at it a few times, he frowned deeply. No, this is definitely not Zhou Jiejia. Zhou Jiejia's figure is not the same as the woman in the video. Yang Ming had already seen Zhou Jiejia's naked appearance yesterday. Although he didn't see it so clearly, Yang Ming still knew which part was big and which part was small. Especially the small thicket on Zhou Jiejia's lower body wasn't as thick as the woman in the video. Therefore, Yang Ming could now be sure that the person in the video wasn't Zhou Jiejia at all. Yang Ming slapped his forehead. Motherfucker, I have a big misunderstanding. I thought that Zhou Jiejia was very lascivious. I didn't expect to make such a big mistake. Looking back at the moment when Zhou Jiejia's face appeared, Yang Ming carefully looked back and forth several times. Finally, he found a very critical problem. That was, Zhou Jiejia's expression didn't change at all. It was very rigid. It was just like a picture that had been connected together. Although this poor picture quality made Yang Ming unable to judge whether his idea was correct, it seemed that there was an 80% possibility. Yang Ming sighed and turned off the video. Then, he crushed it with a file shredder. Although this video was definitely not Zhou Jiejia, even if it wasn't, it wouldn't be good for this thing to spread. If my guess is not wrong, then I really misunderstood her. But the problem was again. Since the person in the video wasn't Zhou Jiejia, who was it? Who made a video of Zhou Jiejia's jigsaw? Yang Ming knew that this kind of splicing technology wasn't a problem now. There were many celebrities' spliced photos on the internet that were used as news. However, Zhou Jiejia wasn't a celebrity. Who would do this to her? Zhou Jiejia obviously shouldn't have done this. She wouldn't have done such a thing to ruin her reputation unless her brain was pierced. Otherwise, who would do such a stupid thing? However, if it wasn't Zhou Jiejia, who could it be? That QQ number was obviously Zhou Jiejia's own, and this had been confirmed by Wang Jitao. Could it be that Zhou Jiejia was so bored that she spliced a video of herself to fool others? Yang Ming had a bit of a headache. Unless he asked Zhou Jiejia face to face, there wouldn't be any result. However, since he already knew that this video wasn't Zhou Jiejia, Yang Ming's impression of Zhou Jiejia had slightly changed. After all, who wouldn't like a pure little girl? However, Yang Ming began to regret it. He had kissed her twice. This matter was a bit indecent. Recalling the feeling of kissing Zhou Jiejia for the first time in the cinema, her reaction was similar to Chen Mingyan's first time. It was so awkward. Could it be that it was also this chick's first kiss? Thinking of this, Yang Ming broke into a sweat. It's over. This is too much. Yang Ming shook his head. He could only avoid it a little in the future. After knowing the truth, Yang Ming's mood became very bad. He turned off the computer and lay in bed to sleep. As for Zhou Jiejie smiled even in her dreams today. Her relationship with Yang Ming had improved by leaps and bounds. At least she thought so. Zhou Jiejie felt very satisfied to be able to go from the initial cynicism to the current concern. Humming Jolin Tsai's Never Setting Sun, she returned to the dormitory happily. Wang Shui, who was playing games, was shocked. Jiejie, are you okay? What's wrong? Zhou Jiejie was stunned for a moment, but she was still humming a song. I want to send you the longing of the rising sun city, sending you a postcard representing love. I want to send you the love of the rising sun city, walking through the world hand in hand. You are sunny day, my love sleepless, the longing of the rising sun city flies by your side, I'm going to faint. Jiejie, what are you so excited about? Wang Shui was surprised. She knew that Zhou Jiejie rarely sang such cheerful songs. Zhou Jiejie generally liked some sad songs. Hee. Zhou Jiejie smiled and then whispered mysteriously to Wang Shui, guess, who was I in the same room with last night? How would I know? Didn't you go to the class reunion? I don't know your classmates. Wang Shui looked at Zhou Jiejie strangely. Suddenly, she said, could it be, you are talking about Yang Ming? You're living with him now. Zhou Jiejie nodded shyly. Her face was flushed, and she looked unspeakably beautiful. You too did that. Wang Shui opened her mouth wide and looked at Zhou Jiejie up and down. Her eyes stopped at Zhou Jiejie's lower body. Wang Shui, what are you thinking? We just lived in the same room. We didn't do anything. Zhou Jiejie quickly waved her hand and said, besides, I did that. How could it be that? What do you mean by this and that? You made me confused. Wang Shui certainly understood what Zhou Jiejie was saying, but she still deliberately made fun of her. Humph. I won't talk to you anymore. Seeing the smile on Wang Shui's mouth, how could Zhou Jiejie not understand that she was deliberately pretending to be confused? They were both girls. It was impossible not to understand these hints. Don't be angry. Tell me, what happened yesterday? Wang Shui asked with a smile. Zhou Jiejie just said that she didn't want to talk to Wang Shui. In fact, she wanted to find someone to talk to. Therefore, when Wang Shui asked, she took the initiative to talk about yesterday. When it came to the two of you, there was only one room card left. Wang Shui's eyes widened. Was your junior high school class so erotic? Men and women living together. Who knows what Sui Guangqi was doing? Most of the people who went were not decent people. There were more than 70 people in the class, but only 30 people went. Zhou Jiejie said helplessly, that safe kiss was indeed a little, probably that kid had an ulterior motive for you. He deliberately created this atmosphere to make you submit. Wang Shui said casually. However, the speaker didn't mean it, but the listener had a heart. Wang Shui's casual words were different in Zhou Jiejie's ears. Zhou Jiejie originally suspected that Sui Guangqi had an ulterior motive for her. Now that she listened to Wang Shui's words, she felt that this was the case. She found it strange before. Although the current social atmosphere was more open than before, it wasn't so open that men and women who weren't familiar with each other would play safe kiss, right? It seemed that these people must have discussed it with Sui Guangqi beforehand. Those who didn't agree to play the game obviously didn't come to this party. It turned out to be like this. After figuring this out, Zhou Jiejie was even more disgusted with Sui Guangqi. How can this person be like this? Fortunately, Yang Ming went yesterday, and he happened to draw my lot. Otherwise, I really don't know what to do. You too, A man and a woman alone in a room at night. Didn't anything special happen? Wang Shui looked at Zhou Jijia with a smile. After we entered the room, Yang Ming gave me the bed. He sat on the sofa to rest. Later, I felt uncomfortable in my lower body, so I wanted to take a shower. But I didn't expect an accident to happen. So, Zhou Jijia told about the broken water pipe. The water used in the resort was directly from the groundwater. It was so cold that I couldn't move. Then, didn't Yang Ming see everything? Wang Shui widened her eyes and looked at Zhou Jijia, who had suffered a loss but didn't know it. Instead, she looked happy. He also helped me wipe my body. He even touched here. Zhou Jijia pointed to her chest shyly and then lowered her head. Ugh! Wang Shui was speechless. This silly girl. She was seen and touched, yet she was still so happy. Is it really taking advantage to suffer a loss? Do you feel very happy? Yeah. Zhou Jijia nodded vigorously. Well, then you are very happy. Wang Shui had to agree. She couldn't explain it to Zhou Jijia. For this kind of thing, only Zhou Jijia, the party involved, would feel happy. Unfortunately. After he took me to the bed, he didn't do anything. Zhou Jijia shook her head and said with some regret. What else do you want to do? Wang Shui also sighed. Do you think that even if Yang Ming really did it with you, can he accept you? Will he be responsible for you? Chapter 401. Zhou Jijia was silent. Yes, although Yang Ming doesn't hate me now, it doesn't mean that he likes me. Thinking of this, Zhou Jijia's mood was depressed again. Okay, don't be sad. Wang Shui saw that Zhou Jijia was silent, and she knew that what she said was inappropriate. She quickly explained, you are now much better than before. It's good as long as there is progress. Zhou Jijia raised her small fist. I think so too, hee. In the evening, Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan had dinner together. They discussed visiting Yang Ming's house on New Year's Day. The two agreed to buy something for Yang Ming's parents tomorrow morning. After all, it was the daughter-in-law's first visit. She couldn't be empty-handed, right? That wouldn't be proper. Because he slept in the afternoon, Yang Ming wasn't very sleepy at night. He turned on the computer and surfed the internet. He checked his QQ friends and found that wild female teacher was online, so he sent her a message. There's no true love in this world, long time no see. It didn't take long for wild female teacher to reply. Now she changed her name to wild female student, but Yang Ming was still used to calling her wild female teacher, so he changed her online name back to wild female teacher locally. Wild female teacher, yes, long time no see. How are you recently? There's no true love in this world, it's okay. I made up with my girlfriend. How about you? Wild female teacher, me. That's it. There's no true love in this world, are you with the person you like? Wild female teacher, how is it possible? I haven't seen him for a long time. There's no true love in this world, then what are you going to do? Right, I have a friend who told me that you have to take the initiative to fight for this kind of thing. You can't wait. Yang Ming suddenly remembered what Zhao Ying said to him that night. If it weren't for Zhao Ying's reminder, Yang Ming would still be in a cold war with Chen Mengyan. Wild female teacher. I'd better forget it, Zhao Ying thought to herself. A few days ago, I was still persuading others. This time, it's others' turn to persuade me. However, Zhao Ying had made up her mind to love Yang Ming silently for the time being, so she didn't intend to say her thoughts. She also knew that Chen Mengyan was Yang Ming's official girlfriend. Even if she said it, Yang Ming would never break up with Chen Mengyan and be with her. She knew Yang Ming too well. He was the kind of man with a strong sense of responsibility, so he would never do something like giving up another woman for one woman. It was precisely because of this that Zhao Ying was very clear that if she told Yang Ming her thoughts now, it would only increase Yang Ming's worries. Moreover, would Chen Mengyan accept her? Don't look at how Chen Mengyan is now calling me sistering, which is very intimate. But when it comes to my own interests, the interests of my lover, will she still be so close to me? This girl has her own ideas. Even Lan Ling doesn't want to accept her, let alone Zhao Ying. Although Zhao Ying and Xiao Qing were both Yang Ming's sisters in name, in essence, the thoughts of the two people were very different. Although both of them trusted Yang Ming very much, and they would think for Yang Ming, Xiao Qing was much older than Zhao Ying, and she was much more mature. Her thoughts were also very different from Zhao Ying's. What Xiao Qing thought was that it would be good to be with Yang Ming like this, and occasionally be intimate with him secretly. The status wasn't important. Xiao Qing didn't care about these. Her reputation was bad enough, so Xiao Qing didn't care about these things. But Zhao Ying was different. Although she was a few years older than Yang Ming, she was still a child. Sometimes, even Yang Ming felt that she was a little sister. Zhao Ying didn't want to play any secret love. She wanted to be with Yang Ming openly. Otherwise, she wouldn't have scruples about her identity as Yang Ming's teacher. She wouldn't have quit her job in school for Yang Ming and come to Songjiang Industry University to be an ordinary student. Therefore, Zhao Ying decided to wait for a good opportunity. Now what she had to do was to let Chen Mengyan accept Lan Ling as soon as possible. Only in this way, she would have a chance. There's no true love in this world. What are you doing? Why aren't you talking? Wild female teacher, nothing, hee hee. How about playing Fight the Landlord with me for a while? I haven't played for a long time. There's no true love in this world. Well, since I have nothing to do, let's play for a while. Wild female teacher, come to Northeast Netcom's XX room, XX table. I'll wait for you. Last night, he played with wild female teacher until the latter half of the night. When he got up in the morning, Yang Ming's ears still echoed with the 3 points and 2 points sound from the computer. After washing his face, Yang Ming looked at the time. Class was about to start. He quickly washed his face and quickly walked to the teaching building. Zhang Bin and Tian Donghua were already gone. These two people obviously thought that Yang Ming wasn't going to class, so they didn't call him. When he passed by the cafeteria, Yang Ming went in to buy a cup of soy milk and a piece of bread. When he came out, he suddenly met an acquaintance, Sister Ying. Yang Ming called. The person in front was Zhao Ying. Yang Ming. Zhao Ying quickly stopped, turned around, and looked at Yang Ming with some surprise. What a coincidence. Yes, Sister Ying. Yang Ming smiled and nodded. You also came to the cafeteria to buy things. Looking at the yogurt and bread in Zhao Ying's hands, Yang Ming asked. Well, just bought some breakfast. Zhao Ying nodded. Are you going to class? Yes, you're going too. Let's go together. Yang Ming invited. Okay. Zhao Ying nodded. Today, Zhao Ying wore a tight leather jacket, which fully showed her exquisite and hot figure. With a painter's hat on her head, she looked more like a youthful student. It was difficult to connect her with the previous image of a teacher. The image of Zhao Ying as a teacher, that summer night, eating supper together at the food stall, and the awkwardness and ambiguity in Zhao Ying's house, and the hazy love of the two people had become a memory in Yang Ming's heart, an indelible memory. Yang Ming wanted to go back to the past, the feeling of the two people, but he seemed to find that Zhao Ying was deliberately avoiding these. Yang Ming couldn't do anything about it. First, they went to the teaching building of the Department of Economics and Management where Zhao Ying was. Yang Ming and Zhao Ying parted ways. Today, Zhao Ying was still very concerned about him, but Yang Ming was keenly aware of the difference. Zhao Ying didn't seem to have the previous attachment and strange feelings for him. Now, it was completely a concern between a sister and a brother. This made Yang Ming very disappointed. After all, Zhao Ying's position in Yang Ming's heart was no less than Qin Mengyan. There was a moment in time, and it even surpassed Qin Mengyan. However, these were all in the past. Yang Ming shook his head with a wry smile and walked helplessly into the classroom. Zhou Jijia still reserved a seat for Yang Ming like every day. Yang Ming wasn't polite. He walked over directly and sat down. Maybe it was because of the previous misunderstanding of Zhou Jijia's apology. Yang Ming smiled at Zhou Jijia for the first time. Zhou Jijia felt incredible and pleasantly surprised. Yang Ming actually smiled at her. This is too rare. Is it really because of what happened last night that the relationship between the two people improved by leaps and bounds? Yang Ming suddenly remembered something. Then he took out a piece of paper and wrote a row of numbers on it. He asked Zhou Jijia, "Is this your QQ number?" Yang Ming wrote the QQ number of the charming baby that he saw at Zhang Bin's house, which was the number of the video owner. "Yeah, how do you know?" Zhou Jijia was a bit baffled. Logically, Yang Ming shouldn't have my QQ number. "Do you know a netizen named Dabin?" asked Yang Ming. Zhou Jijia heard the name Dabin, and her face immediately changed. Wang Shui used her QQ to chat with this person at the time, and she regarded him as Yang Ming. Is this person really Yang Ming? That Dabin is you? Zhou Jijia glanced at Yang Ming with a pale face and asked hesitantly. It's not me. It's Zhang Bin. Yang Ming said. Ah! Zhou Jijia exclaimed. God, what did Wang Shui do? It's so embarrassing. Zhou Jijia was a little ashamed. Since Yang Ming asked this, it showed that he must have seen the video. That video isn't you, right? Yang Ming saw Zhou Jijia's embarrassed look and said with a smile. It seems that my guess is right. The person in the video is not Zhou Jijia. Looking at her shy look, I can tell. This little slut won't feel embarrassed, right? Chapter 402. However, what made Yang Ming feel a little strange was that from Zhou Jijia's tone and expression, she obviously knew about the video. This made Yang Ming somewhat inexplicable. As mentioned before, Zhou Jijia, this chick, wasn't just smart. She was very smart. How could she do such a thing that would be detrimental to herself? Did you see the video? Zhou Jijia sighed helplessly. Isn't it Wang Shui who messed with my account, Wang Shui? Yang Ming almost vomited blood. This is too much. Is this Wang Shui crazy? She actually spliced Zhou Jijia's video. Yang Ming shook his head. Does she have a grudge with you? Why would she harm you? No. Wang Shui didn't mean it. Zhou Jijia explained, she just wanted to confirm if the person opposite was you. Yang Ming frowned. He had an indescribable feeling. This Wang Shui didn't seem to be so reliable. It seemed that the relationship between her and Zhou Jijia was very good. However, normally speaking, most people wouldn't make such a joke about their friends. If this video was spread, how much damage would it cause to Zhou Jijia? However, he couldn't say anything to remind her. After all, Zhou Jijia and Wang Shui were good friends. If he said that Wang Shui wasn't, then it seemed that he had some ulterior motives. Besides, although the misunderstanding of Zhou Jiejie was eliminated, Yang Ming didn't interfere in the matter between Zhou Jiejie and Wang Shui. Zhou Jiejie wasn't his woman. Why should he care about that? Zhou Jiejie blushed particularly easily today, especially when she was talking to Yang Ming, but Yang Ming didn't notice it. Wang Jitao, on the other hand, was angry in his heart. How come I like a woman, and this woman is so close to Yang Ming? Wang Jitao wasn't reconciled. Why? Although I don't look as masculine as Yang Ming, I'm also a pretty boy type. Don't girls nowadays like me? Weren't those Superboy competitions all about his type? In terms of family background, he was 100 times stronger than Yang Ming. He was the future successor of Wang's Century Xiongfeng Group, with assets in the hundreds of millions. Yang Ming was just a worker's family that couldn't even be considered as a salaried family. How could he compare with him? Of course, Wang Jitao did not know that Yang Ming was now much richer than him. Even 10 or 100 Wangs would not be as rich as Yang Ming. Of course, in terms of learning, Wang Jitao didn't dare to say that he was better than Yang Ming. He paid for himself to go to university, but Yang Ming was officially admitted. However, Wang Jitao thought that he had an absolute advantage in front of Yang Ming, but why couldn't he get the favor of girls? This was something that Wang Jitao couldn't figure out. Originally, he didn't want to have any entanglement with a social rascal like Yang Ming. It wasn't that Wang Jitao was afraid of Yang Ming. The key problem was that his dirty tricks were ineffective against Yang Ming. If he looked for the gangsters in the society, Yang Ming was obviously more popular than him. If he looked for someone to beat up Yang Ming, he was likely to be beaten up. If he wanted to frame Yang Ming, Wang Jitao didn't dare to do it this time. Chen Mingyan's father was the criminal investigation captain of the police station. Last time, he was already suspected. If he still went against the wind, wouldn't he be digging his own grave? Therefore, when Wang Jitao gave up his pursuit of Chen Mingyan, he didn't hate Yang Ming so much. He even wanted to let go of Yang Ming. Later, the relationship between the two people was relatively harmonious. Wang Jitao didn't take any extreme measures. But now, Wang Jitao couldn't bear it anymore. Damn, are you sent by my enemy to deliberately play with me? Why are you specifically against me? You have such a good girlfriend, but you don't stop. You come here to flirt with my Zhou Jiejie. You don't put me, Wang Jitao, in your eyes, right? At the thought of this, a sinister plan was born in his mind. Wang Jitao wrote a text message and sent it to Chen Mingyan. Chen Mingyan, I am Wang Jitao. I have something important to look for you. Wait for me at the entrance of the school's teacher building after school at noon. After a while, Chen Mingyan's text message came back. If there is anything, just text it. I still have something to do at noon. Wang Jitao frowned. Damn, if Yang Ming asked you out, you would go. If I asked you out, you would make excuses. What is this? But it was just a thought. Wang Jitao continued to send, I have something to tell you about Yang Ming. It is very important. He didn't expect Chen Mingyan to reply quickly, is it? I am not very interested. Wang Jitao was so angry that he gritted his teeth. What is going on? Generally speaking, when other girls hear about their boyfriends, they would be very interested. However, Wang Jitao still didn't give up and sent, Yang Ming and a girl called Zhou Jiejie are flirting. They sit together in class. Chen Mingyan read the message with disdain. Last time, it was because of Wang Jitao that she quarreled with Yang Ming and gave Yang Ming the opportunity to meet Lan Ling. Chen Mingyan's hatred for Wang Jitao was no less than Yang Ming's. It was even worse. Girls were always very vengeful. Last time, Wang Jitao made her so miserable. How could Chen Mingyan forget? Therefore, Chen Mengyan was already immune to Wang Jitao's words. When she saw him slandering Yang Ming, she was angry for no reason. She used to think that Wang Jitao was a very upright person. She didn't expect him to be so dirty. He slandered others behind their backs. As for the matter between Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejie, Chen Mengyan was the clearest. The two of them had something that shouldn't have happened. Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejie sat together and comforted Zhou Jiejie. It was reasonable. Therefore, Chen Mengyan didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. She replied directly, "Okay, I got it. I approved it." Fuck. Wang Jitao almost smashed his phone. What kind of world is this? Chen Mengyan actually approved Yang Ming to fool around outside. Isn't this too unbelievable? Wang Jitao was immediately shocked to the point that he was charred on the outside and tender on the inside. He vomited 3 liters of blood. "Yang Ming, you can do it. Just you wait," Wang Jitao said to himself angrily. At the same time, in the president's office of Wang's Century Xiongfeng Group, Wang Shifan looked at Huang Yukai, who was sitting in a wheelchair. "President Wang, are we just going to let this matter go?" Although Huang Yukai had received a large sum of compensation from Wang Shifan, he was still somewhat unwilling. How could Wang Shifan be willing? The one who went to prison was his brother. But what could he do? He didn't know who the opponent was. In his view, Xiao Qing was obviously a scapegoat on the surface. She had nothing to do with the behind-the-scenes. Moreover, Huang Yukai, as an underling that he appreciated, was disabled. How could Wang Shifan bear this? However, even if he couldn't bear it, there was no place to vent his anger. The Wang family had been operating in Songjiang for so many years. They had offended a lot of people. Who knew which enemy had met a ruthless character to retaliate against him? Wang Shifan shook his head at Huang Yukai. "I still haven't figured out who wants to deal with us. If we don't let it go, what else can we do?" "Humph. But I'm not willing," Huang Yukai said resentfully. "Boss, I'll be in this wheelchair for the rest of my life. What do you think?" Wang Shifan glanced at his brother-in-law, who was also his brother-in-law, Su Daji. "Brother-in-law, this is really difficult to swallow. Why don't we teach that Xiao Qing a lesson?" Su Daji suggested. "Obviously, it has nothing to do with that Xiao Qing. What's the use of teaching her a lesson?" Wang Shifan said coldly. "President Wang, I think so too." Huang Yukai had no place to vent his anger. It was good to find a scapegoat. "Alright, let's talk about this later. It's almost the end of the year. There are more things. Don't cause trouble for me." Wang Shifan shook his head and said, "Let's talk about it after the Chinese New Year." "Okay, everything is at President Wang's command." Huang Yukai nodded. Now, Huang Yukai could only be a dog-head strategist in the office. Huang Youcai's original job was handed over to his brother-in-law, Su Daji. "Right, how is our transit route from Hong Kong?" asked Wang Shifan. Now, the people in the office were his confidants, so Wang Shifan had nothing to hide. The person in charge of Huatong International in Songjiang has changed to a new one. Because it's almost the end of the year, I haven't visited yet. However, according to the outgoing President Liu, the new guy is more greedy than him. It should be easy to deal with him. Su Daji said. "Damn, why didn't you say such an important thing earlier?" Wang Shifan was a little annoyed. "After the Chinese New Year, we will have a batch of goods from Singapore. We will take the route of Hong Kong." Chapter 403. "I'm sorry, President Wang." Su Daji apologized quickly. In the evening, give me an appointment with the new general manager of Huatong. I want to talk to him in detail. Right, book a room in our heavenly world. There is no surveillance there. Wang Shifan instructed. Okay, President Wang. Su Daji said quickly. Wang Century Xiongfeng Group was a legal large-scale comprehensive business group on the surface. It was involved in hotel management, real estate, and other legitimate industries. But behind the scenes, it was involved in smuggling. Songjiang was a coastal city. Since the early 90s of the last century, Wang Shifan had opened up some connections and started a smuggling business. Wang's group didn't have the authority to import and export trade, but it could smuggle through some other companies. Among them, Huatong's former CEO was one of Wang Shifan's partners. Huatong was a foreign-funded high-tech trading company. It acted as an agent for some high-precision foreign instruments. The main customers were some universities, hospitals, and even research institutes. Therefore, for some top-secret technical instruments, Huatong had its own transportation channels. It was easier to smuggle private goods in. Wang Shifan saw this and maintained a good cooperative relationship with Huatong's former general manager. There were several companies similar to Huatong. They also had varying degrees of contact with Wang Shifan. Therefore, although the assets of the Wang family were only hundreds of millions on the surface, Wang Shifan knew that his account was more than 500 million. Smuggling was a huge profit. As they were discussing, there was a knock on the door. Wang Shifan was furious. Su Daji, didn't I ask you to inform the secretary? No one is allowed to approach my office when we are having a meeting. Just as he was about to scold the person who knocked on the door, the office door was pushed open. When Wang Shifan saw the person, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. His face showed a loving smile. Xiao Tao, why are you here? The person who came was Wang Shifan's son, Wang Jitao. For this son, Wang Shifan loved him very much. Dad, I came to see you. Wang Jitao said as he entered the room. You all go out and do your work first. Wang Shifan waved to Su Daji. Yes, President Wang. Su Daji nodded and pushed Wang Yotsai's wheelchair out. Xiao Tao, come and sit with Dad. Wang Shifan waved to Wang Jitao. How have you been at school recently? When are you going to bring a girlfriend home? Dad, that's why I'm here. Wang Jitao said angrily, it's all because of that Yang Ming. He's the one who foils my plans every time. Why? You still don't want to give up on that Chen Mengyan? Wang Shifan frowned and said sternly, wasn't the last lesson deep enough? Chen Mingyan's father is in the police station. Your little tricks will only bring you trouble. Dad, it's not Chen Mengyan this time. Wang Jitao quickly explained, I have given up on Chen Mengyan. I took a fancy to another girl, Zhou Jijia. But Yang Ming sat with her all day long and flirted with her. It made me angry. Isn't Yang Ming with that Chen Mengyan? Why is he with this Zhou Jijia? Wang Shifan was confused by Wang Jitao. What the hell is going on? How would I know? Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan are a couple, but he seems to be interested in that Zhou Jijia too. Wang Jitao said. Okay, why are you so useless? Women are won by strength. This can only be said that Yang Ming has the means. Wang Shifan shook his head. I have a lot of things to do recently. Don't cause trouble for me. But I'm not reconciled. Wang Jitao said while gritting his teeth. That won't do. Wang Shifan said very sternly, you better be honest with me. If you let Chen Mingyan's father target you, I can't do anything about it. Okay, I know. Wang Jitao saw that his father was really angry, so he had to give up. But he didn't give up. His bad intentions came again. Right, Dad, I want to ask you something. Is there a powerful Sun family in Donghai? What? Sun family? Wang Shifan's pupil suddenly contracted. Xiao Tao, I'm telling you. You better not provoke the people from the Sun family. Otherwise, I can't protect you. You won't even know how you died. Wang Shifan naturally knew about the Sun family in Donghai. It was a real underworld family. He had some business dealings with the Sun family, so he knew the details of the Sun family. The Sun family is so badass. Wang Jitao was stunned. He didn't expect that his strong father was so afraid of the Sun family. Could it be that Sun Jiwei, this kid, really has a strong background like what he said? Yes. You must not get into trouble. Wang Shifan said. Don't worry, Dad. I know. I'm just asking casually. Wang Jitao nodded and said with a smile. He had already thought of a countermeasure. He wasn't Yang Ming's opponent, but someone could deal with Yang Ming. Sun Jiwei and Yang Ming didn't get along well. It was already a well-known thing. If he fanned the flames, it would definitely provoke Sun Jiwei's hatred. The reason why he asked his father to verify the strength of the Sun family was that he didn't trust Sun Jiwei. He was afraid that Sun Jiwei wasn't Yang Ming's opponent. Then, wouldn't his efforts be in vain? Although Wang Jitao and Sun Jiwei didn't have a big contradiction, they didn't see eye to eye. If he wanted to provoke Sun Jiwei to deal with Yang Ming, then he must first approach Sun Jiwei with a humble attitude. If such a degrading thing couldn't achieve the goal, Wang Jitao wouldn't do it. Therefore, he must first determine whether Sun Jiwei could kill Yang Ming. Now, he got a positive answer from his father. Even his family wasn't the opponent of the Sun family. What else was there to be afraid of? Moreover, if he had a good relationship with Sun Jiwei, it might be beneficial to his family's business. Therefore, after confirming this, Wang Jitao returned to school happily, ready to wait for an opportunity to approach Sun Jiwei. In the evening, Yang Ming drove Qin Mengyan home first, and then came to the door of the police station. Such a broken car parked at the door of the police station naturally attracted the attention and suspicion of many people, but when they learned that Yang Ming was waiting for Xia Shui, they all shut up. Thinking about it, Xia Shui's reputation as a violent girl wasn't for nothing. He called Xia Shui and told her that he had come to her unit and was waiting for her downstairs. It didn't take long for Xia Shui to run over to Yang Ming's side. Then, she went straight to the front passenger seat and slammed the door. Can't you be gentler? This car is already broken. What if you break it? Yang Ming looked at the trembling door and shook his head. Your broken car is already like this. Don't blame me. Xia Shui said angrily, I suspect that this is a scrapped car or a assembled car. I should call the traffic police department to check. Are you sitting or not? If not, then get off. Yang Ming glared at Xia Shui. Humph. Of course, I'll sit. I'm not even afraid of bad people. Why would I be afraid of sitting in your broken car? Xia Shui said coldly, I'm just afraid that your car will break down halfway. Shut up. Yang Ming started the car. Where are we going? I know a spicy kebab shop. It's delicious. The spicy chicken wings there are quite delicious. It is said that whoever can eat 5 insanely spicy chicken wings is free of charge. Xia Shui said. You lead the way. Yang Ming nodded. Anyway, he was treating Xia Shui to a meal. She had the final say on where to go. Go out first and turn left. Xia Shui commanded. I don't know if it's because I didn't look at the calendar today or something else. Anyway, it's not a good thing to meet this violent girl, Xia Shui. Although Yang Ming's car was broken, it had always been very smooth to drive. There had never been any problems, but this time, it broke down on the side of the road. No matter how he started it, it couldn't start. Yang Ming was so angry that he gritted his teeth. You jinxed it. Are you happy now? You're right. The car broke down halfway. What do you mean by I said? Your car has a problem. Don't blame others, okay? Xia Shui snorted, but this time, she didn't dare to make sarcastic remarks. Her words were indeed a bit too much. I can't eat today. I'm sorry, Police Officer Xia. I'll treat you to a meal another day. Yang Ming checked the car again and said helplessly. What? I wanted to eat the chicken wings there yesterday, but I didn't eat it. I was waiting for you to treat me today. No. Even if the car broke down, we still have to go. Let's take a taxi. Xia Shui wasn't willing. Then, what about my car? Just leave it here. Asked Yang Ming. Nonsense, how can you carry it? Xia Shui was puzzled. I mean, my car is just parked on the side of the road. What if I get a ticket from the traffic police? Yang Ming sweated. Is there a problem with Xia Shui's understanding? Chapter 404. Forget it, it's really troublesome. Xia Shui shook her head. I gave you a ticket. If you look for me, I will help you withdraw the ticket, okay? Hee, I was waiting for you to say that. I knew that Police Officer Xia is popular in the police station. Yang Ming said sarcastically. Female Tyrannosaurus, who isn't afraid? However, Xia Shui didn't understand the meaning behind Yang Ming's words. She nodded unknowingly and said proudly, of course, you don't know who I am. Yang Ming held back his laughter and stood on the road to stop the taxi with Xia Shui. After a while, a taxi stopped next to Yang Ming. Yang Ming opened the back door and let Xia Shui sit in first. Then, he got in the car. Go to Chuandong Spicy Skewers. Xia Shui said to the taxi driver. Xiao Shui, are you going on a date with your boyfriend? The taxi driver said directly. Ha! Yang Ming and Xia Shui were stunned at the same time. They looked at the taxi driver in amazement. It was actually Xia Jidong, the driver who claimed to be Xia Shui's second uncle when Yang Ming took a taxi at the entrance of the police station. Second uncle, why is it you? Xia Shui heard the word boyfriend and said with some embarrassment. Why? Do you think your second uncle is a third wheel? Xia Jidong smiled. Second uncle, what are you talking about? He and I are just ordinary friends. Xia Shui was shy. Yang Ming was dumbfounded. Xia Shui also has a feminine side. Damn, isn't she too strong? Don't be embarrassed. It's not our era now. Don't be so sneaky. Xia Jidong said, it's okay. Second uncle supports you. This young man is good. Second uncle is very satisfied. Ugh. Uncle Xia, I think you misunderstood. Yang Ming quickly explained, Xia Shui and I are really ordinary friends. Hey. Young man, you're not being honest, right? When I asked you in the car last time, you told me that you are Xia Shui's boyfriend. Xia Jidong said with a straight face. Yang Ming sweated. When did I admit it? You didn't admit it, but you acquiesced. Xia Jidong remembered clearly that Yang Ming didn't speak at the time, but Yang Ming thought that he was too noisy, so he just kept silent. Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Uncle Xia, I was thinking about something, Miss Xiao Shui, right? Xia Jidong said, it's okay, I understand. Yang Ming and Xia Shui looked at each other and were a little speechless. Soon, the car came to the door of Chuandong Spicy Skewers. Yang Ming looked at the geographical location here. It was actually very close to Qin Mingyan's home. If he had known earlier, he would have waited here for Xia Shui. Then, the car would not have broken down halfway. My stomach is also a little hungry. Xia Jidong said with a smile, do you want to go in and eat together? Second uncle will treat. Yang Ming was helpless. How does Xia Shui have such a big face as her uncle? But looking at Xia Shui, he saw that she was also helpless. He had to say, it's okay, Uncle Xia. I will treat. Let's eat together. Ha! Xiao Shui, your boyfriend is generous. Not bad, I like it. Xia Jidong said. Yang Ming and Xia Shui could only pretend that they didn't hear it. Chuandong Spicy Skewers was actually a small shop. The scale wasn't very big, and there were no private rooms. But because of the unique taste, it could attract a large number of people every day. There were also many people who drove Mercedes-Benz to eat. Yang Ming found a table with a good location and sat down. He handed the menu to Xia Shui and Xia Jidong. 20 spicy chicken wings, honey-flavored. 20 chicken necks, honey-flavored. After Xia Shui finished, she handed the menu to Xia Jidong. Same, but I want super spicy. Also, give me 5 beef kidneys. A pot of spicy pork belly. Xia Jidong said. Sir, what about you? The waiter asked Yang Ming. Yang Ming recovered from the shock. They are all big eaters. Although it doesn't cost much, their appetite is amazing. I want 20 beef kebabs, 2 chicken wings, medium spicy. Yang Ming said. Okay, please wait a moment. The waiter left after taking the order. At the same time, Qin Mingyan's house. Mom, why did you ask me to come back? Qin Mingyan looked at her mother strangely. Mingyan, after the new year, you will be 19 years old, right? It's time to find a boyfriend, right? Mother Qin asked. Mom. Qin Mingyan was a little shy, but her heart was relieved. She thought that her parents wouldn't let her date so early. She was worried about how to tell her parents about Yang Ming. Seeing that her mother took the initiative to mention it, she was relieved. I heard from your dad that you went out with your classmates for Christmas. Is it a guy? Mother Qin continued to ask. The night before, when Qin Fei came home for dinner, he accidentally said something about Qin Mengyan. Mother Qin was an impatient person. When she heard that her daughter had a boyfriend, she immediately called Qin Mengyan and asked her daughter to come home. She wanted to ask clearly. Of course, what Mother Qin wanted to find out most was whether the male classmate that Qin Fei mentioned was Qin Mingyan's male classmate in high school. Before, when Mother Qin was washing Qin Mingyan's small windbreaker, she found some clues. That was the dried traces of a man's thing. At that time, she was afraid that it would affect Qin Mingyan's mood for the college entrance examination, so she didn't ask Qin Mingyan. But this was always a knot in Mother Chen's heart. After Qin Mingyan went to college, she gradually forgot about this matter. But the day before yesterday, Qin Fei suddenly mentioned it. Mother Qin remembered this matter again, so she was so anxious. Mom. If I really have a boyfriend, will you scold me? Qin Mengyan nodded. She was a little shy and carefully probed. It's normal for a woman to marry when she is older. My family's little Yen has a boyfriend. It means that she has grown up. Mother Qin said with a smile, why would I scold you? Come, tell Mom about your boyfriend. Mom. Qin Mengyan was a little shy as she leaned on Mother Qin. Did you really agree? Why wouldn't I agree? Chen Fei came over at this time with a smile and sat next to the mother and daughter. Little Yen, tell me and your mom. And, let me guess first. Who is your boyfriend? Ah. Chen Mengyan was stunned, but immediately understood. Her father knew Yang Ming. Especially when she was holding the photo last time, how could her father not see any clues? Hee, it's Yang Ming, right? Chen Fei said with a smile. And, it's him. Chen Mengyan whispered. Yang Ming. Mengyan, is he your high school classmate? Mother Chen was eager to know the truth of the previous matter. The reason why she was so anxious was that she didn't want her daughter to be a casual person. Judging from the residue on the small windbreaker, Chen Mengyan had an intimate relationship with a boy when she was in high school. If she changed her boyfriend in college, as a mother, Mother Chen would be more uncomfortable. And, he is my high school classmate. Now he is in the same university as me. Chen Mengyan nodded and whispered. Mother Chen breathed a sigh of relief after listening. It seems that my daughter began to fall in love early in high school. However, since the doubts in her heart were resolved, Mother Chen no longer mentioned the past. After all, it was all in the past. Was there any meaning in lecturing her daughter about early love? This child, Yang Ming, I have seen him before. Not bad. Chen Fei said, I think highly of him. Little Yen, your father doesn't easily praise anyone. In this case, you should bring the Yang Ming you mentioned home and let me see him. Mother Chen took it for granted that something had happened between her daughter and Yang Ming, and it happened when they were in high school. Therefore, Mother Chen didn't say much. She just wanted to finalize the relationship between the two as soon as possible. And, I got it. On New Year's Day, I will go to his house first, and then I will come to see you with him. Is that okay? Chen Mengyan asked for her parents' opinion. I didn't expect that. You are going to meet his parents. Mother Chen said with a smile, if I don't call you back, are you going to hide it from me and your dad? No. Chen Mengyan said with a red face, I came back today to tell you about this. Are you hungry? I will go and cook first. We will talk while eating. Mother Chen looked at the time. It was time for dinner. Forget it. Let's go out and eat. Today, our little Yen has a boyfriend. Let's celebrate. Chen Fei suggested. All right. Mother Chen nodded. Then let's go out and eat. There is nothing at home. Let's go to the nearby Chuandong spicy skewers. I think it is very popular. We haven't been there yet. Chapter 405. Chen Mengyan snuggled up to her mother, and the family of 3 went to Chuandong spicy skewers. Are there a lot of people in this house? Chen Mengyan was surprised to see that the door was full of cars. Is there still room? Why don't we change to another place? Chen Fei frowned. This place seems to be very popular. Since we are already here, let's go in and have a look. Mother Chen said. Okay. Chen Fei thought about it and agreed, so he nodded and took the lead to push the door and go in. Sir, how many? As soon as they entered the door, a waiter greeted them. 3. Chen Fei just opened his mouth and frowned because he saw acquaintances. It wasn't just 1, but 2. However, why are these 2 people sitting at the same table? Sir, can you wait for a while? There are no seats now. The waiter said apologetically. Xia Shui was sitting facing the door, so when she looked up, she saw Chen Fei standing at the door. Captain Chen. Xia Shui quickly stood up. In the police station, Xia Shui wasn't afraid of anything except for Captain Chen Fei. Xia Shui, why are you here? Chen Fei was also very puzzled. Why did Yang Ming come out to eat with Xia Shui? As a matter of fact, my daughter is Yang Ming's girlfriend. Ugh, that. Xia Shui just wanted to speak, but Xia Jidong stood up and looked at Chen Fei. Xiao Shui, is this your leader? Come, let's sit together. I just happen to have some space here. You are. Chen Fei looked at Xia Jidong. The combination of these three people is a bit too weird. Oh, I'm Xia Shui's second uncle. I came to eat with the children. Xia Jidong said. At this time, Chen Mengyan also saw Yang Ming. She couldn't help but frown. What is going on? Why is Yang Ming eating with Dad's men? Since there were no seats, Chen Fei nodded and the whole family sat at the table with Xia Shui. Yang Ming, why are you here? After sitting down, Chen Mengyan couldn't wait to ask. Yang Ming smiled bitterly, thinking that things were going to be bad. How could there be such a coincidence? However, Yang Ming was shocked by how Chen Fei appeared with Chen Mengyan, so there was a moment of absent-mindedness. It was also because of this momentary absent-mindedness that things started to develop in a bad direction. Sure enough, before Yang Ming could speak, Xia Jidong opened his mouth. Huh? Do you know each other? Niece's husband. Yang Ming sweated profusely. What the hell is going on? However, after Chen Mengyan heard these three words, her eyes widened. She looked at Yang Ming in disbelief. Even Chen Fei and Mother Chen had a strange expression on their faces. I'm not. Yang Ming wanted to explain, but Chen Mengyan suddenly stood up. Yang Ming, aren't you too much? Mengyan, listen to me. I have nothing to do with Xia Shui. Yang Ming saw that this little vinegar jar was going crazy again, so he quickly got up and explained. Then why did he call you niece's husband? He's not my uncle. Chen Mengyan asked as she bit her lip. She was more rational this time. She didn't leave immediately, but the stimulation brought to her now wasn't small. After all, Chen Mengyan misunderstood Yang Ming once before, so this time she was very angry, but she didn't turn around and leave. She listened to Yang Ming's explanation. Not to mention that Chen Mengyan would lose her composure, anyone would be angry. Today, Chen Mengyan just happily told Yang Ming to her parents. At this time, she saw an outsider call Yang Ming niece's husband in front of her parents. Where would she put her face? So, no wonder Chen Mengyan was so angry. AI. That's not right. At this time, Xia Jidong spoke. I say, Yang Ming, you're not right. You have to explain it to me clearly. How can you cheat on Xia Shui behind her back? This isn't right, right? Ha! Yang Ming was going crazy. Uncle, why are you still joining in the fun at this time? Aren't you deliberately making trouble for yourself? Yang Ming. Chen Mengyan finally couldn't help it. If she couldn't understand such obvious words, then she would be a fool. Tears came out from Chen Mengyan's eyes. Chen Mengyan turned and ran out of the door. Little Yen. Mother Chen quickly stood up and chased out. Yang Ming, what are you doing? Chen Fei looked at Yang Ming with a gloomy face. Uncle Chen, you and Mengyan. Yang Ming looked at Chen Fei with some embarrassment. She's my daughter. Chen Fei said with a stern face. Daughter. Yang Ming was dizzy. So that's the case. No wonder Chen Fei was so concerned about my love life. It turned out that he was Chen Mengyan's father. No wonder he knew what Chen Mengyan liked. But now wasn't the time to study these things. If the current situation wasn't solved well, then it would be a big problem. However, Yang Ming didn't worry much. After all, he was innocent. This time wasn't like the last time. This time, He really didn't have an improper relationship with Xia Shui. He wasn't afraid of Qin Fei's investigation. Uncle Qin, you can ask Xia Shui. I really don't have that kind of relationship with her. Yang Ming said firmly. Young man, you're not right. How can you not admit it after you finished eating? This isn't good. Xia Jidong didn't want to do it. Second uncle, what are you doing? Don't say it. Xia Shui was a little anxious and quickly stopped Xia Jidong from continuing to talk. Little Shui, why don't you let me say it? I just want to say it. What's wrong? Xia Jidong shouted, you can't be afraid of the strong. Although he is your captain and your leader, everyone is equal in front of the law. His daughter is a person, but my niece isn't. Little Shui, I support you. Kill her and win the victory of love. Even Qin Fei had some doubts about Xia Jidong's words. Could it be that what he said was true? Second uncle, I told you before. I have nothing to do with Yang Ming. He invited me to eat purely because of the friendship between friends. Xia Shui explained with a bitter smile. Little Shui, don't lie to second uncle. You are a police officer. You have to dare to fight against the evil forces. Xia Jidong said with a glare. I said that you are Xia Shui's second uncle. How can you say that? How did my daughter become an evil force? Qin Fei listened to Xia Jidong's crazy words and was a little unhappy. Xia Jidong said coldly, if you have the ability, then arrest me. I don't believe that if I say it, can you arrest me and put me in prison? Qin Fei was speechless. What kind of person is this? It seems like I'm unreasonable. How about it? You have nothing to say, right? Xia Jidong said proudly. Pa! A loud sound shocked everyone. Even Yang Ming was shocked. It turned out to be Xia Shui. Xia Shui finally couldn't hold it in and slammed the table hard. The loud sound made the entire barbecue shop quiet. However, everyone also knew that something unpleasant had happened at their table, so they just treated it as watching the fun. Second uncle, I told you that I have nothing to do with Yang Ming. Xia Shui was really angry. It was fine if her second uncle made a fuss at home, but now he was doing it in front of her leader. It really doesn't matter. Xia Jidong scratched his head. Seeing that Xia Shui was really angry, he was a little overwhelmed. It really doesn't matter. Xia Shui said firmly. Then you too. Xia Jidong realized at this moment that he seemed to have misunderstood. Looking at Xia Shui's expression, it didn't seem to be fake. Uncle Xia, Xia Shui and I know each other. Our relationship is good, but we are not a couple at all. Yang Ming said helplessly, you really misunderstood. Really? Then, did I make a mistake? Xia Jidong opened his mouth and said with some embarrassment. Qin Fei snorted. How can there be a person like you who randomly matches people? You made my daughter run away in anger. That. I'm sorry. I'm a straightforward person. I'll treat. Xia Jidong also felt that he had made a big mistake, so he quickly apologized. Forget it. Qin Fei waved his hand. He wasn't a stingy person. The other party was his subordinate's uncle, so he couldn't say much. Uncle Qin, then I'll go and see Mengyan. Yang Ming saw that the misunderstanding was resolved, so he thought of appeasing Qin Mengyan. Hurry up. You, kid, always make my daughter sad. The Disney doll I said last time was effective, right? Qin Fei smiled. Hee hee. Yang Ming smiled and nodded. He stood up and chased out. Fortunately, Qin Mengyan didn't run far before she was stopped by Mother Qin. Right now, she was crying in Mother Chen's arms. After Yang Ming saw it, His heart ached, and he quickly ran over. Meng Yan. Yang Ming whispered softly. You go away. When Chen Meng Yan heard the voice of Yang Ming, she immediately shouted without hesitation.